Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, Ireland's only answer to Harry Kane, bringing you Dave and Jack's guide to Euro 2020. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to this stream. I know it's a bit late. I know the Euro started last night, but I was away for 2 days. And honestly, it was a well-needed break. I can't stress that enough. It was a well-needed break, but I'm back more focused, more energetic than ever before. And I cannot wait to get into this. But before we do, make sure you do smash a like on the stream and subscribe on the channel if you're new. And we have a couple of super chats to get to already, which is insane. I didn't think you'd get any super chats on the stream for the Euros or stuff like that. And honestly, guys, you know, everyone that's been texting me and messaging me like, are you okay, where have you been and everything else, all it was a 2-day break. Just a 2-day break with the owl lads, you know, camping at the mountains, you know, just to relax, just to refresh the batteries, re-energize and come back again. But look, before we get in and welcome a few people in, Jack, my man, how are you keeping?
Oh, I'm keeping well, David. You know, it's good to have you back, and it's good to have the Euros, mate, just because, you know, it's nice to just see competitive, physical, hard-hitting football. And also now I can just totally just go full nerd on the stats, full nerd on all the players. I practically know more Finnish and Macedonian players than any man should. So, yeah, it's going to be a cracker.
And just to add to that, I really would like to know what people make of this show, because trust me, there's a lot more of this coming for Tottenham next season. You know, so I really do and really would value your opinion on what you think of this show when it's all over and done with. You know, because me and Jack will be producing a lot more of this next season, stats-based and stuff like that. So I hope you really do enjoy it. I really do. But look, let's welcome a few people to the building. We have Wayne Bonner straight away. Big up, man. I hope you're keeping well. Another guy who texts me. I have great time for this guy. He's an absolute legend. Wayne Bonner, he says, afternoon, David, afternoon, Jack. Looking forward to this. Who do you think will win the tournament? Well, look, you know, me and Jack, we were in early. We did give our replies underneath. So, Jack, do you want to give Wayne Wayne, who you think?
Yeah, listen, Wayne, you know, it's got to be Portugal or Deutschland for me. It's just with France, I really don't back them. You know, I do think they do have that winning mentality. You know, they really know how to pull out the wins, but they never do it in a pretty way. And they kind of are, you know, willing to sit back and absorb pressure. And to be honest, I think Portugal and Germany are the two other best teams in the tournament. And so if they're willing to sit back against those teams, those really technically sound teams, you know, that can be really dangerous. So I'm backing Portugal and Germany to maybe get a lot out of this tournament.
No, 100%. Look, for me, Wayne, I'm actually going to go for Italy or Portugal or France. I was I didn't watch the Italy game last night because I was out playing football, challenging my inner David Ginola. But look, for me, I watched the game back. I do think Italy. I was very impressed with them last night. Yeah. I thought Turkey probably would have put up a better game than what they offered. But I was very impressed with Italy. They were clinical as well. Portugal, look, you can't write them off. Their squad is insane.
No, it gives you a hard on that squad.
It's insane. And for me, look, I know a lot of people probably aren't really tipping France right now, but for me, you can never write the French off. As the tournament goes on, the French always get better and better, so there will be a hard bet. And that's just my opinion on it. But big yourself up, Wayne. And then Wayne says he fancies Italy to win it this year. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if England get to the final and won. Look, Wayne, on that, I know I'm going to dash so many dreams and probably, you know, create a few enemies. I predict England to struggle in the group stage. But look, as we get into the show, you know, and once we go after that group, I'm going to give my opinion why. I'm not going to give it away too early. We have Carl Simpson afternoon all. I hope you're well. I hope you're well, Carl. Wayne Bonner in with another super chat. Big up, Wayne. He says, who are your dark horses in the tournament? Look, Jack, give him a team. Don't give too much away either, though.
Listen, Wayne, you know, people are kind of misinterpreting, I think, what really dark horse means. You know, it's a dark horse. It's just a team that no one's talking about that might really outperform, you know, all expectations or understandings of them. And I think that team is going to be Ukraine this tournament, Wayne. So we'll talk about it later. But big yourself up, Wayne.
Very interesting, very interesting. But big up, Wayne. Let's welcome a few more people to the stream. King David. We have Josh Seven. Hey, Dave, this Wales one actually quite a good one. Don't know who's going to win. Look, to be honest with you, I hope it stays 1-1. I have my Euros prediction league. Actually, that's another thing. Everybody, the link for Kiss My Score is below. Get over, join Kiss My Score, and get on to the Harris Army prediction league. Put your predictions in. If it stays 1-1, I take away the 3 points today and hopefully get myself back up to the top. That would be very, very nice. We have Dean Webb. Big up, Dean Webb. We have Kyle Hare. We have Scott M as well. Big up, Scott M. Jack, if France had a quality manager and not Deschamps, would that change your mind on them?
Absolutely, Scott. I mean, if they just had, I think, a manager that could just vitalize the players that he has at his disposal and play the way that they could, then they would probably just be winning tournament after tournament. You're absolutely right, Scott.
No, 100%. And Carl Simpson says, David, how dare you? England struggle. I am unsubscribing. Good to see you back. And Sue Smith, great to see you back, David. And hi, Jack. Hi, Sue. I hope you're keeping well. I really do. And look, I'll be honest, it's great to be back as well. And I just want to say quickly before we do get into it, a massive thank you to Jack for hosting the show. A massive thank you to Bob and Brian for being such great guests and answering the questions that Jack provides on a routine basis. And the quality of the questions is outstanding as well. And to be honest with you, the questions make the show. So I want to say a massive thank you to Jack for not only hosting, but also providing the questions, doubling up on the work this week. It's been amazing. So thank you, Jack. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Harris Army out there for sticking with it, and really enjoying the show and putting in all the comments, it was dropping, I think Jack was saying between 420 and 460, 480 the whole stream. Insane numbers. Insane. And look, guys, I will be back tomorrow with Tottenham content where I will be discussing, my views and my thoughts on Fonseca. As we're speaking, Switzerland have just gone 2-1 up. There's my
Immer weiter für die Schweiz.
Good goal. But I will be back tomorrow with Spurs content, like I said, on Fonseca. Look, with Fonseca, my views might be a bit strong, but they're honest. But ultimately, when the guy does come in, I will have to back him. But that's my views on that quickly.
Oh, he might be off, David. He might be off.
Oh, is it off? I hope it's off.
No, he could be. Nice. Looks like he could be off. But yeah, we'll crack into it.
Yeah.
No matter. Seferovic maybe just put in an absolute banger, but, it could be offside. But then again, let's crack into it. Right, David?
Oh, 100%. Just quickly, Brian Davis in the building. Big yourself up, Brian.
Good to see you, Brian.
I hope you're keeping well, man. But look, just before we do, everyone else, get over to the watch along on at 8 o'clock on We Are Tottenham TV, where, yes, me, your boy, the Irish Hotspur, the best in the business, back in town again, where I'll be hosting the watch along over there at 8 p.m. for Belgium versus Russia, where I'll also be joined by my sidekick, Jack Kineke. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be getting other panel members in as well involved. So make sure you tune over there at 8 o'clock. But look, Jack, take it away. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. So we're going to be going into... sorry, just a moment. On a different computer. But yeah, let's crack into it, David. We're going into the Euros 2020 via the Irish Hotspur. It's going to be a cracker of a tournament, to be honest. I think it's going to be a lot different than people's expectations, and this is going to be my breakdown. We're going into Group A here. These are my predictions in front of me. I do have Italy top in the group. I have Turkey taking second, despite that kind of, pretty concerning performance last night. And then I do have Switzerland maybe possibly getting a third place position where they could advance around to 16, maybe on points. So going into Italy under Roberto Mancini, this has really been kind of a revitalization, really, of the Italian squad. To be honest, like the Italian squads, I think of past tournaments have really not been up to the standard of what their name usually suggests. Roberto Mancini has kind of taken them away from that standard back three, back five system that they're so known for and moved them into kind of the standard 4-3-3, kind of 4-2-3-1 conventional system. And as we saw from last night, it really is an absolutely insane team. They worked really hard. They have good experience, good mix of youth in the team as well that are kind of new to the team. I thought Locatelli had a fantastic game. I think Ciro Immobile will grow in more confidence. And then you do have an absolute leader up front in the likes of Insigne, who has always been an absolute baller. I don't have to get far into it. I really do think that the Italians are an absolute guarantee, maybe semi-finalists at least, considering their performance last night. I did make this about a week ago, at least this slide. So I was very happy to kind of see this kind of confidence in them that I had before go well or go right. And look at it's kind of highlighted at the bottom there, but the reason why I think I really back them is sometimes we've said that, they don't really have enough going up front.
Jack, we can't see anything there. There's nothing shared on screen.
Oh, sorry, David.
No, you're grand. Just wait, you're sorting that out. We have Bob Spur TV. He says, and big up Bob Spur, by the way, and I'm so happy that Jack kept us off for detention, and we got Bob Spur over to 760, but he's grown since then. The guy's over 800. So everybody get over and smash or subscribe on Bob Spur TV. Another great panel member on all the shows. And he says, what an opening yesterday, Italian 90 all the way. Italy showed how to change their philosophy last night. A new style of attacking, constant mindset. 100%. Italians were very famous for their defensive football. Probably the best at in the world. But last night they changed style, changed tact under Roberto Mancini, and they went for the game. And look, they have the players to do it. Look, Italy have always had the players to do it, but they seem to have gone for a more attacking focus in this European Championships, and it's working for them. So big up, Bob Spur, and 100% I agree with you, man. Thanks for the super chat.
Big up for the super chat, by the way. Thank you so much, Bob Spurs. So I did realize that I'm on a different computer that's, a little bit better internet, and I didn't have my screen sharing preferences. So I have to actually back out of the stream, unfortunately, and then come back in. And I think everything will work smoothly after that. So I do apologize for the technical difficulty.
No, you're grand, man. You're grand. Look, Jack will be back. We're just sorting it out. Sue Smith says, I will pop in and out, guys. Can't wait to hear David's opinions on the new gaffer. Must admit, I'm totally underwhelmed. Look, Sue, my new opinions on the new gaffer, I'll be putting out there tomorrow. I'm a busy boy today, back with a bang. Have this show, like I said, the show when we are talking, or the watch along when we are talking TV at 8 p.m. as well. So I'm going to be a busy boy. But Sue, my thoughts for the new manager will be coming tomorrow. So everybody, look, make sure you tune in for that. I think that is what a lot of people want to see. But Jack, are we back?
Yeah, hopefully so. Let's see how it works this time.
I think
it's working. So really apologize about that, guys. I had to kind of switch to a different computer because I'm able to kind of work the internet better, not really, kind of pause as much and kind of hide out. Whoops, sorry about that. But so I do apologize for technical difficulties, but we will move on. As I was saying, if you guys can see everything all right, we are moving on we were talking about Italy, and I just want to finish on Italy. I think what makes Italy very different this season is just the fact that they have such incredible goal scorers going into this, and the likes of Berardi, who I think had a fantastic game. He looked very nervous, but he's incredible on the ball. He's kind of like an Italian Arjen Robben, doesn't really have the pace, but very, very, or more maybe like an Italian Riyad Mahrez, I would say. Very, very skilled left footer, knows how to cut inside really well, loves to take a shot outside the box. And is really dangerous forward, and scored 17 goals in the Serie A. Immobile scored 20 goals alone in the Serie A, and Insigne 19 goals in the Serie A as well. And these are all on separate teams. So these guys are used to being kind of the main man for their team, and them being all combined together, I think actually will be kind of great, because that means they'll be a little competitive with each other. They'll be fighting, to get maybe top scorer amongst the team, but I think that all will be a good thing. And then it goes without saying with that midfield behind them, from last night with Locatelli, Jorginho, and Barella, maybe one of the best workhorsemen kind of midfields you could find. Just such brilliance. And then maybe debatably one of the best keepers as well. So yeah, absolutely expect Italy to top the group and maybe go to the semifinals as well, because they might have, somewhat of an easier route than other teams, but we'll crack into that. Moving into Switzerland, or maybe David, what do you think of Italy? Like anything that maybe caught your eye here? They're not doing the three in the back like they normally do. They're doing the 4-3-3. Is there anything that maybe catches your eye about Italy this tournament?
Look, I have to say I was very impressed with them last night. Look, one thing you can always rely on Italy, they're very sound. They're very, very sound defensively, so you'll always find them hard to break down. And look, I don't think you'll see it. So I don't think we've seen it as much against Turkey last night. But when you come against some of the better attacking teams with that 4-3-3, what it'll allow is when they don't have the ball to be able to sit back, get numbers behind the ball. But also when they do get the ball, they can play a more possession-based game and keep possession and try and break them down, or else they can go for them quick in behind. So in effect, he's giving them two sort of options, two ways of playing, and it's absolutely genius in my opinion. Especially for Italy. And look, it'd be great to see them going all out attacking for it. Look, I think they're very, very strong contenders. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they conceded a goal in the qualification campaign.
No, they did not. And it says right there, 0 goals conceded in World Cup qualifying, 2 goals allowed in Nations League, and then 4 goals allowed in Euro qualifying, tied for second fewest.
Yeah. So look, for me, I think they're going to go far. I think they're going to be a very, very difficult team to play against. And I was very impressed with them last night with Immobile up top. You know, he's clinical. The guy's clinical. He's a good baller as well. And for me, I think they're a team to watch out for. I really do. And just quickly, Wayne Bonner says Turkey are my dark horses. Look, they were mine as well. But after watching them last night, to be honest with you, they clearly played for the draw. Look, you know, with some of the attacking players they have, Wayne, I do expect them to come out and probably be more expansive against the likes of Wales and Switzerland. But
Yeah.
we'll wait and see. And just quickly on this guy, Thomas. Look, Thomas, everyone's made for YouTube, my man. You know, look, I'll get you on a show and we'll get it sorted out where there's no echo and everything else. And then after that, you know, you'll be ready to go. I'm not giving up on you, man. But sorry, Jack. Take it away, man.
No, maybe last thing I'll say is even look at the notable subs that they have. They have Verratti, who I think is coming back from injury, I believe, and then Pellegrini, who's had a great season. Belotti, who's a fantastic sub for Immobile. Chiesa, great season as well for Juventus. Bernardeschi, who I've always loved, you know, has kind of fallen out of form, but I do love him. I do think he's an absolute baller. And then Bastoni, you know, very young, up-and-coming center half as well. So just an incredible squad and very fluid as well. Moving on to Switzerland, who look like they will be drawing Wales in their first match. Listen, with Switzerland, they have an incredible 3-4-1-2. I think this is kind of the system that really fits them. Obviously, in this game, they went for Fabian Schär in the center back position instead of Ricardo Rodriguez. But with Ricardo Rodriguez, he can play on the flank, and I do think, and over here they play Mbabu on the right wing. And they kind of I just do think they have a really interesting system that fits the players at their disposal. The 3 center backs that they have here are very, very technically sound center backs and very good on the ball, in the likes of Nicolas Elvedi, Mikel Akanji, and then Ricardo Rodriguez. So, you know, they're not very good going forward, I would say. We even saw some of the sitters they've already missed just today alone. But they do really know how to get forward and create chances. It's just putting them in is kind of their problem. But I would say very solid defensively and very composed on the ball. And they do have some kind of silky patterns in play.
Yeah, look, on Switzerland, I've actually watched them kind of grow over the last few years because Ireland have played them a number of times. Jan Sommer, very experienced, very good goalkeeper. Good goalkeeper. I like Akanji, I have to say. I really like Fabian Schär. I think he's a no-nonsense defender. He'll take yellow cards where he has to. But he gets stuck in and gives it 100%. Zakaria midfield.
Zakaria, I think, is coming back from injury or something. He didn't even play today, but I think he has been included in the squad.
He'd be a very good player when he comes in. Yeah. Trust me, when teams get tired, I've seen this guy. He'll take the grain by the scruff of the neck, and he's an all-action man. He's very good. I like him. Then you have Shaqiri. You know, you have Brilan Bolo, Severovic. You know, so there's players there that can stick the ball in the net. So again, a lot of people are writing Switzerland off. Look, I don't think they're going to win it. I think they have a very, very good chance of getting out of the group, though.
Yeah, but, you know, I have it at the bottom here. You know, they did just drop points against Wales. That could be tournament ending. But then again, it just means that I think their game against Turkey will just be even more important. But look, with Severovic, I don't really rate him. But, you know, on his day, he's actually quite quality. And in his moments, he can be quality. He's just extremely inconsistent. But he had a good season with 22 Liga NOS goals and 7 assists for Benfica. They have another striker maybe they can go instead with, Gravanovic, who we saw play for Dinamo Zagreb. So yeah, it could be an interesting game, but I think these points dropped against Wales are going to make it a lot. That game against Turkey even more important. And so moving on to Turkey. With Turkey last night, it was kind of interesting. Their manager, Senol Gunesh, he's kind of like maybe a bit of a legend. I think he's taken them to a third place finish before in a major tournament. He was named UEFA's Coach of the Year that year, especially that was a year when you would maybe say Turkey didn't have as many of maybe the star players that they do now. But with Turkey, they were playing against a very strong Italian side. They kind of decided to sit deep in kind of this 4-1-4-1 shape or kind of 4-2-3-1 shape at times. And to be honest, it also can be a 4-2-2 as well with the likes of Yuzici from Lille and Çalhanoğlu on the wings. But to be honest, they just sat way too deep. I don't think they also have enough pace. I think the moment they put Cengiz Ünder in, it actually helped them a lot, just simply because he does have the pace to get in behind and actually, maybe make the likes of Chiellini and Bonucci a bit more, accountable. They have to respect, that they might be able to get in behind on them, because once they put Cengiz in, you did see their kind of play open up a bit. But when they didn't have Cengiz in, they didn't really have anybody that would run in behind for them. And I think that made it very difficult. So the Italians could kind of press up and kind of win at any ball that they played. So that's probably why Turkey really struggled to have possession. I'll just finish with Turkey and just say they have really, really quality players in the likes of Yazici here and the likes of Tufan. I rate him as a center mid. Yakuşlu, who had a great, I think, season with West Brom. Soyuncu, one of my favorite defenders. And then obviously Zeki Çelik, who we're supposed to be rumored with, and you're obviously should be keeping an eye on just to see what he really looks like to you. Had a great season with Lille. Çalhanoğlu, obviously their star man, very incredible on free kicks and really is their star man. And then Burak Yilmaz, who's had an incredible season. But to be honest, that display against Italy was concerning. It did show that they can be absolutely dominated by some of the better teams of the tournament. A lot of people are kind of been backing them as being like a real dark horse this tournament, which makes a lot of sense. But maybe their recent performance has kind of maybe made that a bit more concerning.
Yeah, look, for me on Turkey, I'll be honest with you, I was very disappointed with them last night. I had them down as one of my dark horses along with Czech Republic. Look, with Turkey, I think it's a case of the occasion played them rather than them playing the occasion. For me, I get it. They set up to kind of stifle Italy, but with some of the players you have there, you have Demiral, you have Çelik, you have Soyuncu, you have Çalhanoğlu, Cengiz Ünder, and I'm probably missing a couple of players there as well. And for me, back yourself, go for it. It's the opening game. Go for it against Italy. What have you got to lose? Sitting back against Italy last night when they're playing the likes of Verratti in midfield, it's playing into their hands. It's allowing them to dictate the tempo of play. And they played right into their hands last night. For me, if they would have got at them and went at them, they would have disgruntled Italy and upset them. But then you could argue the case of maybe it was Italy were that good, they stamped their authority on the game and that. So, look, it's a tough one. Going to be very, very interesting with Wales and Switzerland. Now, look, they have to go and beat Switzerland in the next game. Switzerland also have to go and win the next game.
Absolutely.
Because Switzerland can't afford to not go for it against Turkey and hope to get something out of Italy. Draw if Switzerland draw all three games, it's going to be tough ask for them to get out of the group. Wales, look, they're going to have to go for it against them. I think they'll be happy to take a point against Italy and go for it against Turkey last game. I think that'll be their aim. But for me, look, Turkey, they're going to have to pull their finger out against Switzerland and show why a lot of people backed them. Just quickly, Thomas James, new channel member, big yourself up, man.
Big yourself.
And Wayne Bonner says, big up Thomas James Smith as well. So big yourselves up, guys. But look, that's my view on Turkey. I was just disappointed. Hopefully the manager take the reins off and go for it in the next couple of games.
You're completely right, David. And just to kind of echo that even further, I just think, with Turkey, it's like an interesting choice as a dark horse. It makes a lot of sense, but they just have this kind of tendency to, I think, really, fall apart. They've had these notable wins, obviously, that one over Holland, that 3-0 win over Norway as well. They had, in some two separate friendlies in 2020, two separate 3-3 draws against Germany and Croatia. But then they've had these huge slip-ups where they've lost to Hungary, Iceland, Serbia, Ukraine. And so they really also, like smaller teams can seem to have their number as well. So they're kind of just a very inconsistent team, I would say. And maybe that's probably due to the manager, maybe due to the tactics. But if I were a betting man, maybe I would actually maybe bet against Turkey again in the next game.
Interesting.
Just considering that recent form and display, it just maybe shows that, maybe sometimes in these big moments or that maybe it just comes down to the tactics, comes down to how they need to be set up, because what it showed to me was they really lack any pace and getting in behind. And when that's the case and you don't have the ball very much as well, you are kind of setting yourself up for, pretty much defeat.
Well, you know what? I trust you, Jack, and I encourage everybody out there, go and get your firework, get it down to the bookies and put it on Turkey to lose.
Here's what I'll say to anybody that's, thinking about making a bet on a Turkey game. If you're not seeing Cengiz Ünder, I think in the starting lineup next game, I think you should be worried personally.
Interesting.
Because I think he was their bright light. I think he was their bright light.
Get your bets on.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Wales, though, who maybe are lucky to get a point from that game, but, it's the Euros. Who really cares if it's luck? It's just whatever a team can get, especially, to be honest, like with Wales, I'm not really expecting much of anything. So, to be honest, they're already kind of maybe outperforming my expectations. I didn't think it was going to be necessarily easy for Switzerland, but I did think they were going to actually pull out that 1-0. And to be honest, they should have scored more. They did miss a couple of sitters, and I think David probably would agree with that as well. They definitely could have put it more away. But this is kind of how Wales set up. They're, obviously considering the accusations, numerous accusations against Ryan Giggs. They have a new manager, the assistant, and Robert Page. And they're kind of set up in what Ryan Giggs had planned for them, which is this 3-4-3, 5-4-3 kind of back shape. They went with Kiefer Moore today instead of Harry Wilson, which I think was a strong decision. Kiefer Moore from Cardiff City scored 20 goals in the championship this last season, and he's actually a menace in the air. I think he's around 6'5", very, brute kind of mentality, kind of almost maybe like a, Wales Carlos Vinicius, you could even say, not so technically sound, but, just an absolute menace when it comes to any type of physical play. And so I think that's the type of forward sometimes Wales really need. Gareth Bale was playing off the wings, sometimes playing centrally. Didn't really see a lot of the ball, I would say, but he can definitely make his moments. And like I said, Wales got what they could. Joe Rodon, it's going to be really interesting because he's just going to be, in the furnace, I think, this entire tournament, just dealing with a wave of attack after wave of attack. And I think this will just be really good shorthand experience for him, to be honest. With Ben Davies, he's probably likely going to be playing in this kind of left center back position where he was today. And then, to be honest, Wales, if they pull out another draw or, where they just can kind of, maybe tip the scale of the group and make things a bit more interesting, all credit to them. But I really don't see them qualifying.
Yeah, interesting. Look, to be honest with you, I think they're going to find it tough to get out of the group. I really do. That's just my opinion on it. Look, to have Gareth Bale up top, probably didn't utilise him today, I feel, as much as they probably could have. Dan James out wide. Look, for me, he was getting the better of that fullback in the first half. Second half, they took him off. He was a bit angry. Mm-hmm. He didn't like it whatsoever. Look, you have Ben Davies, who, I can see what their manager's trying to do. There's no point in having Daniel James making them runs over the top when you have Ben Davies passing the ball. No point. No point. He lost the ball time and time again today.
They went with Aaron Ramsey in the park. Yeah.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. They went with Aaron Ramsey here, so I do apologize, everybody. I couldn't get, I made this a while ago, so I couldn't get the lineups for today in. But this is kind of, this is like the formation that I saw them definitely playing, and this is exactly, I believe, what they played. So, but I think what was different was Aaron Ramsey and someone else, I believe, in the middle of the park next to him.
Yeah, look, for me, I just don't fancy Wales. Look, it's all look. I know they got to the semi-finals or back in France and stuff like that, but I just don't fancy. I don't know what it is. I just do not fancy them to get out of the group this time round. I know they fancy themselves. I just think they're going to be very young and very inexperienced. Like the last tournament they went to, they had a lot more experience in the team. Although be it a lot of players in around the championship and stuff like that. And they obviously mixed in with a few of the top class players that they have, like Aaron Ramsey, Gareth Bale, and that. But for me, I just think they're a bit young this time round, and I think it will show in the end. I really do. I just think, looking at the group, Switzerland have a lot more nous about them. I think Italy definitely have a lot more nous about them. And being honest, I think Wales will be disappointed not taking 3 points off Switzerland today. That's just my opinion. We have 2 super chats from Wayne Bonner to get to here quickly. He said, if you could pick any team to win the Euros, regardless of stats, who would it be? Look, if you're asking who I'd like to see to win the Euros, I would like to see France win it. I just like some of their players. If you ask me who I think is going to win the Euros, I'm going to say Portugal. I just think they have, even though they didn't have a great squad the last Euros, what they had was great determination, fight, and desire. And it all won. It got them where they needed to be. And this time round, they're going to have that plus with the added depth and quality. So I genuinely think Portugal, for me, would be hot favourites. But Jack, what's your opinions, man?
My two things that I really want to see happen. I do want to see Ukraine go maybe to the quarterfinals, where I think with Ukraine they have a lot of players that I like. My favorite thing is that they can field an entire team of Enkos. I think also what's kind of inspiring is a lot of these players, especially some of the young players, right? They've been kind of growing up and playing football, right, in a very kind of war-torn, politically torn country. And I think it's very interesting to see just these players that have played for the likes of Shakhtar Donetsk haven't played in the real stadium in front of their real fans in considerable time because of the war. It's all very interesting. And so I do kind of back that team just for their own country's pride, maybe. And then, but the other thing I would like to see happen in the tournament is I would love to see Hungary maybe pull off a big upset where they make someone drop 3 points. Could be Germany, could be France, could be Portugal, but it'd be lovely to see Hungary pull off a big upset in that group of death.
Look, Hungary are capable of it. We only played them the other day. Ireland only played Hungary the other day. And look, they can create chances going forward. But defensively, they're solid, Defensively, they're solid. They will not engage until you come into their half. They will not engage you. So, they're going to make it tough for a lot of oppositions. They really are. And just 2 more super chats to get to before we get into Group B. But look, Wayne Bonner says, are there any realistic players you'd sign at the Euros, any position?
Are there any realistic players you would sign at listen, we just mentioned Zeki Celik. We're really heavily rumored with him. I absolutely would sign him. Let's see. Other ones, to be honest, maybe in the center of the park. Ryan Gravenberch would be lovely. I can't wait to see more of him. It's hard to know whether he'll even play. We've been also linked with plenty of other players, I think, in the center of the park. I think you just really got to look for whatever midfielder that maybe is at kind of a young age, maybe in between 20 and 25, that maybe, takes your liking, and just look at them. You find a lot of gems, some players you've never heard of before, never seen before. And I do love that about the Euros as well. You do get to see some people who just perform out of their minds for their team. But yeah, maybe dream-wise, I would say Ryan Gravenberch and Zeki Celik.
Yeah, for me, I can't wait to have a look at Ryan Gravenberch and Eduardo Camavinga squad. I think he's going to be,
I don't think he's going to be in the France. I don't think he's in the France squad, David.
Oh, he didn't make it?
No, he's not included.
That's
my big problem with France, right? Is that they leave out a lot of players like that, and they leave in Moussa Sissoko. Yeah, and Sissoko. It's not a typo, David. It's not a typo.
Yeah.
So horrible.
Well, maybe not Camavinga. So, for me, just Ryan Gravenberch. I genuinely tip him to be, the next big thing. I really do. I'm interested to see a few of them Dutch players. I like Dutch players. One thing I'm interested to see them. I really am. Wayne Bonner says, if Wales played more attacking football, they'd be my dark horses. The defensive game will hold them back big time. Couldn't agree more, Wayno. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. They're not, for me, they're not really backing themselves, in my opinion. When you have Gareth Bale, Ramsey, James and stuff like that, unleash the reins a bit more. Like today, their long balls over the top and stuff wasn't working. Mix it up. Go possession-based. You have the players in midfield to do that. Try and dictate the game. But look, it's interesting.
That's great.
Wayne Bonner says, yeah, big up. And Wayne Bonner again, he says, Ukraine are good, but never live up to their potential. Look, I'm not an expert on Ukraine. I know Jack is, so I'll let Jack take this, and then we're going to get into Group B.
Listen, I kind of find that interesting, Wayne. I think you might be right, but then again, I don't really know what potential we really ever give Ukraine. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people really ever pay attention to that team or really to that country in general. So maybe, you and I are just our own little world of appreciation for Ukrainian players. But I don't think a lot of people give them a lot of potential. And maybe this year, I think, is the year where I still haven't heard a lot of talk about them. Even when I do, it's, people don't really know very much about them. And so they are the team that I would just love to see actually maybe live up to those expectations that you're talking about.
No, 100%. Look, they have a few decent players there. Zinchenko, Yarmolenko. Did Yarmolenko make it?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Look, there's a few players there. Ukraine, never write them off, especially when their backs are against the wall with what's going on with Russia and everything else. Never write them off. But look, just quickly before we go into Group B, Jack, who do you think is going to come out the group? And do you think that, because just quickly to explain to everybody, 4 third-place teams will come out of the group. The 4 third-place teams that finish with the highest points will come out of the group. So just quickly, Jack, who's your top two to come out in order? And do you think a third place team will get out of this group?
From Group B?
From Group A, sorry.
From Group A. It's really difficult, with considering that Wales did just take points off of Switzerland. Maybe there is a good chance that yes, David, I would still say there's a good chance that someone here will maybe get third place points. There will be, I think, some sort of win in between Turkey and Switzerland, and I think the second place team will have enough points. Maybe Wales might actually get enough points if they get another draw and maybe a win as well. That would be plenty. So yeah, I may be back. Whoever gets third, I'm backing it Switzerland, but maybe Switzerland, might pull it out.
Look, for me, I'm going to go Italy to top the group. To finish second, I genuinely think it decides on the next game in that group, which is Turkey-Switzerland. For me, I think that decides who comes out of that group second. But if I have to put my hat on it, I'm going to go Switzerland. I'm going to go Switzerland to come out second. And I don't think a third place team will get out of this group.
Interesting. I think, the more I'm thinking about it, I completely agree with you. But yeah, I'm going to go with I'm just going to be different and just say, maybe Switzerland are going to pull it out. But interesting, you went Switzerland for second. I also could definitely see that happening. Look, we're moving on to Group B, if that's all right, David.
Perfect. Let's take it away.
Yeah, so these are my predictions originally. I do have Belgium talking the group. I will get kind of into how I don't really necessarily, similar to France, don't really back Belgium just because of the manager situation. And Roberto Martinez, I don't really have a lot of faith in him. But I will say he's had, a bit more success, or maybe a bit more consistent form, I would say, with Belgium over these coming months and everything. So maybe he's got the team figured out. But I have Denmark at second with Højbjerg leading the Vikings, and then Russia third, which does sadden me. And I do think actually Russia, maybe they'll get third, enough third place points, but I really don't see it happening. Actually, maybe see them not doing very well this tournament, which I do think is kind of sad. I do love to kind of back them as well. And then Finland in fourth, who sadly I do rate as being one of maybe the worst teams of the tournament. Belgium, Roberto Martinez, he's kind of been lining up in this 3-4, 2-1, 3-4-3 kind of situation. It's very, very attacking, and it's also very defensively strong as well, with the likes of Jason Denaire from Olympique Lyon, and then obviously our two favorite boys and the likes of Toby and Jan Vertonghen on the left and the right-hand side of this center back three. Listen, I think this is a really solid, this is what I would do as well. They have three very quality center backs who are all kind of around the same. I think Jason Denaire is about 3 or 4 years younger, but they've all been playing together for a very long time. They all know each other. They all know their games. They all offer something a little different. And with also Thibaut Courtois behind them, I just think that's an incredible defense. Thomas Meunier is also probably one of the best right wing backs. If you do a back three, he's probably one of the best in the world at that kind of position. I don't really rate him as a right back or as a normal fullback, but in that right wing back position, I do think he is one of the best in the world on his day. Axel Witsel, he's been injured all season, but supposedly he will be returning for this tournament. And if he is lining up alongside Yuri Tillemans at any point, I do think that's also an incredible kind of two pivot midfielders. Yuri Tillemans, I know David really rates him. He's just an absolute workhorseman. He knows how to pick a pass, really technically intelligent as well. And then Axel Witsel is, on his day as well, one of the best holding midfielders, kind of destroyers in Europe. The interesting thing is kind of that left wing back position. And I do kind of bring it up here in some of my notes. I'm very confused always with this kind of system of Roberto Martinez, because he loves to kind of put some type of attacking kind of winger in this kind of defensive fullback position of the back three. If he were to put Castagna there from Leicester City, I would really back them then to do very well. I think having Meunier and then Castagna here would be a real recipe for success. And then obviously, if they were to, though, go with like Torgan Hazard or Carrasco or something, maybe it'll work. But sometimes they're really right. It's just they're not real defensive players, and they could get hurt by the likes of and when they get out of the group, I think. Kevin De Bruyne, I think he'll eventually return to play. I don't see him probably playing originally. I think they'll probably just ease into it, and they'll only use him if maybe they do drop points right away or something like that. Maybe they'll, rush him in, but I think they'll probably replace him either here with the likes of, Torgan Hazard, who's here, or Jeremy Doku, who's had a great season at Rennes. And then also Dries Mertens is there. Eden Hazard maybe will play there. Who knows? Like maybe he is backed by the Belgians. But yeah, they do have plenty of options right here. to replace De Bruyne. But obviously, there is no replacing De Bruyne, similar to, saying to replace Kane. It's just not possible. But Romelu Lukaku coming in with fantastic form. I do think he's a proven winner now. I think he's showing that kind of winner's mentality, will do anything to win. And so I also really backing him as well. Maybe for the Golden Boot, maybe it's not a bad choice as well, because believe me, that man lights fear into any defense in the world, especially now with, how good a form he's in. He's probably one of the scariest strikers to ever come up against as a defender. And maybe teams that are not as physically strong or as pacey, could really struggle against him, I would say. But yeah, that's what I would say about Belgium. I back them to get to the quarterfinals or the semifinals. The reason I think they might fall out in the quarterfinals is because they could run into one of the teams from Group F, obviously the group of death, and I could see them maybe losing to one of those teams. But then if they do pull it out, I would say semifinalists, and they probably would come up against Italy in the semifinals, and maybe I might back Italy or them to go to the final from there.
No, look, honestly, to be honest, listening to that, I'd actually give you the manager job at Belgium, to be honest with you. Look, honestly, I fully agree with your observation on Thomas Munier. I think he fits that right wing back perfect. He's not really a right back whatsoever. I agree with you on Torgan Hazard. I don't know why he plays Torgan Hazard out there on the left wing back sort of role.
If he went with Castagna, though, that would be brilliant, I think. Castagna would go really well.
If Castagna played, I think you're on to a winner there all day long. It just brings balance to them. It brings balance defensively and attackingly. For me, I would actually take out Witsel, and I'd put Tielemans and De Bruyne in there as my centre midfielder.
Interesting.
I think that'd be a great partnership. And I'd also drop Dries Mertens. I'd play Torgan and Eden with Lukaku up top. I think that'd be the perfect mix. Look, my biggest problem with Roberto Martinez is he likes to tinker with things. He likes to be this renegade, this leader. For me, just play your players in the right position, and you're going to win. You have a fair crack of winning the tournament. With this setup here, look, they're going to get out of the groups for me. But after that, I think they're going to struggle. And it's the same with Belgium. And as well, if Torgan Hazard is caught too far forward, or Thomas Munier is caught too far forward, if they come up against the likes of Italy or a team like that, honestly, they're going to be pulled apart, because all it takes is long balls over the top, in behind Jan Vertonghen and Toby, because their legs are gone. We've seen
Thibaut
Toby
doesn't really come out of his box either. I would say Courtois is not really known for coming out of his box as much either. So yeah, it's a great point, David.
But on that, we've seen with Toby and Jan in Spurs jerseys, as the years have gone on, especially, since they've reached their, early 30s, 32, 33, they're getting exposed a lot more.
Right.
So for me, I think this is now or never for Belgium. This is the now or never tournament for me. If they don't win it, they're never going to win it. But look, the reason why they're not going to win it is Roberto Martinez, and I fully agree with you on that, Jack. And just quickly, Wayne Bonner says Belgium and Denmark, but don't rule out Russia. Exactly how I feel about this group, my man.
Yeah.
Exactly how I feel about
Russia's
this group.
A wild card.
Listening to you, I'll probably clip it and send it onto the Belgian FA and maybe campaign to get you in charge for the World Cup, because you know exactly what you're talking about, and a great analysis, my man.
Thank you, David. And, maybe the last thing I'll say is, if you leave out Witsel, the other thing I completely agree with you, I think he'll probably then, if he were not to play Witsel, you might see Den Donker here. And I think that would just be a huge also drop in quality in that center of the park. Obviously, Den Donker might be a bit of a destroyer. I don't really rate him. I think he's kind of maybe like a better Dyer, but that's not really saying anything. I think they're kind of similar players, very ambiguous. But yeah, I completely agree with your analysis though as well, David. Moving on to Denmark. Listen, I am really fascinated by this team just because this is one of the teams that I think has that real possible, strong squad unity. They have a team full of leaders, real leaders, Viking leaders, and the likes of Højbjerg and Thomas Delaney. Spoke about this last night on the Two Bryans, and I just said, what's making me, rest easy this summer, knowing that Højbjerg has basically a carbon copy of himself right here in Thomas Delaney. He's an animal, this guy. Thomas Delaney is an absolute animal. He's not as maybe powerful, right, in the tackle, or as strong, or as kind of dark artsy, you might say, as Højbjerg, but he's works just as hard, very technically capable as well, but loves a good tackle, just like Højbjerg, just loves to get stuck in. And I believe me, like, it just makes me rest easy knowing that Højbjerg just doesn't have to do the job of two people any longer this upcoming summer. And then you look at Delaney and Højbjerg, you know, very captain material like men, very Viking like men. Schmeichel, obviously, as well, you know, a huge leader on the pitch, very vocal. Yusuf Poulsen would be a huge leader up front, very vocal, works very hard, runs constantly, kind of like Thomas Muller, where he's just like a headless chicken, just running around the pitch, really, you know, pressing everything that he sees. Simon Kjær from Milan, I believe he's even taken the captain's badge at one point. He's also very quality. Likes of Vestergaard as well. Very quality, very vocal, good presence as well. And then obviously we might see Andreas Christensen or Joachim Andersen as well. Joachim Andersen, captain for Fulham, right? And the idea that he might not even make the squad. So it's just a squad full of leaders, workhorsemen-like people, winners even, I would say. And, you know, I really back them. Interestingly here, they have very like no-nonsense quality defenders. If they went for Christensen and Simon Kjær, Daniel Vaz from Valencia, or formerly also Celta Vigo, had very quality deliveries, very quality on the ball. Not maybe the best fullback defensively, but very good going forward. And then this guy, Mela, I believe, from Atalanta, has had a fantastic season playing on the left. And he's also kind of a bit of a fullback, pacing up and down in a three-in-the-back system. So he's going to be very attacking. And then Eriksen, you know, we'll see how he does. Maybe he'll play a clever pass here and there. But what's also interesting is maybe Denmark, for the first time, they actually have someone who knows. Maybe this guy will finish. Vint, I believe he comes from it might be from the Dutch League or the Belgian Pro League. He finished with 15 goals. So who knows? Maybe it's kind of a new striker. That guy Dolberg, you know, who's always been very highly rated on FIFA and everything. You know, he hasn't ever really, you know, shown his potential. So yeah, might be interesting to see this guy, Oscar Wendt, I believe, up here. But yeah, Yusuf Poulsen, Braithwaite, big workhorseman, be a really interesting team. I definitely see them getting to the round of 16 at least, getting second place.
Look on Belgium or on Denmark here, another great analysis. Look, you know, I've watched Ireland play these over the last number of years.
You've seen them play.
They broke my heart. You know, they broke my heart. They thumped us to kind of stop us. You know, I think it was, I can't remember, it was Nations League or whatever now, but qualifying for a tournament recently. And look, with Denmark, right, you see that midfield partnership of Højbjerg and Delaney. They are solid stalwarts of the game, right? It's like they don't do everything. They don't do things exceptionally, but they do things very, very well. They're dependable. That Thomas Delaney is a lot better than what people give him credit for, right? Yeah. He does get stuck in, but he's just a nuisance. He's constantly snapping at players, but he's very good on the ball. He can look after the ball. Same as Højbjerg. That midfield is going to be very, very tough to break down. Their centre-back partnership, along with Kasper Schmeichel in behind them, the centre-back partnership is no nonsense. They will put their head to everything that comes in the box.
Yes.
They put their body on the line for everything that comes in the box. And anything that comes by them, Kasper Schmeichel can pull off the saves, right? The likes of Braithwaite and Poulsen, the only reason why they're trouble is because they don't stop running, right? Now, they can do things and get themselves in the final third and get themselves in the positions. Not great at taking their chances, but they're a nuisance. They will battle all day long. They will battle all day long. Christian Eriksen, even though he's playing shit for Spurs, when he's played against Ireland and they've been in the same group as us and stuff like that,
no look pass.
He always turns up for Denmark. He always turns up for Denmark. The striker, look, I don't know much about him.
Neither do
Denmark
I.
Have goals in them. They're a danger from set pieces. They have some big men in there and lads that are like Vikings. They're not afraid to go and attack the ball and get hurt. They're a danger from set pieces. The area where you could get at them is fullbacks. That's what Ireland tried to do. You know, the striker was drifting over, or else you'd play Johnny Waters up there on the right wing. You know, even though he should be a striker out on the right wing, pump long balls to him. The fullbacks is where you could expose them. But honestly, I tipped them to get out of this group. I tipped them to make it very, very difficult for whoever to get in the next round. And potentially could go beyond that. They might have a big scalp in them. But do not write off. With Denmark, every so often they just have a team that turns up. And look, this could be the team that turns up. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the quarters or semis. I really wouldn't. Look, they're not exceptional. But trust me, they're a very, very hard team to beat, and they will mix it up with you. and they will get stuck in from the first minute to the 90 minutes.
David, I would now hire you to be maybe now the Danish FA coach, or be part of an honorary Dane coach as well. I mean, David, that was fantastic. Obviously, you've seen almost maybe more of Denmark than you ever thought you would.
My heart so many times. I actually hate them.
Yeah, you've seen them more than you ever thought you would in your entire life. But that's fantastic analysis. But yeah, if anybody's known, I believe like Denmark and Ireland have played each other in the last 4 years, probably well over seems like 20 times. So David is probably well used to them and knows plenty about them. But moving on to Russia, who, is kind of this absolute, I call them an absolute 8-ball, of a team. Who knows, they might just be, really hard to handle, really difficult to deal with, or they might be a bit of a pushover. It's really difficult to know. In the likes of Juba or Daizuba up front, this guy is he's just like your Soviet era, number 9, just someone that, you don't want to walk into a wrong alley with. He's kind of the guy that, you would see as the bouncer outside of any club. And outside of Moscow, practically, this guy is just someone you do not want to deal with, especially when the ball's in the air. I would just say get out of his way. He's an absolute menace. He loves to hold up the ball, loves the physical contact, probably just gets, a little bit too much out of the physical contact, if you ask me. And then in the likes of Golovin, this is kind of their, so to speak, kind of maybe their mess. Yeah, this is kind of their Messi. He's a bit of a workhorseman kind of midfielder, I would say. Maybe almost kind of similar, maybe almost similar to I really don't like to say this, but almost maybe similar to Aaron Ramsey, where he's kind of that hybrid center mid number 10 position where he can really get forward, but also likes to come back and get stuck in as well. But he's really quality on the ball, loves a good cheeky nutmeg, loves a good pass through the legs. If someone in behind is really quality. And then this guy, Anton Miranchuk from Atalanta, recently moved there, hasn't had, maybe the most spectacular of seasons, but was very highly rated in the Russian Premier League, I believe for Krasnodar. And he is, he's going to be also a bit more of a creative presence finally alongside Golovin, because I think in the last tournament, there wasn't as much of that creative presence next to Golovin. Obviously, Theirishyid had those kind of random great goals. Yeah. But I think this is going to be a bit more of a quality person right next to them. They do a 3-4-3, kind of 3-5, a 3-5-3 kind of system. It's really interesting. It's who knows really with their center backs. They're all practically, combined age. Some of their center backs, they'll play practically a combined age of over a century, but, they might be, Soviet era style defending, no nonsense, probably intimidating any player that comes near them. And if they're on their game, and if these center mids and the likes of Zobnin from Spartak Moscow, and then Ozduev, I believe also from Spartak Moscow or CSK Moscow, if they have, everybody's linked up, everybody's playing right, everybody's on the same page, they could do really well. Also because the majority of them hail from the Russian Premier League and they know each other very well. They know each other's games. They know each other's weaknesses. They're definitely willing, as we saw in the last tournament, to fight for each other and run for each other. So who knows? They could be an absolute 8-ball, I think, David.
Look, with Russia, I don't know much about the rest of the squad, but I know enough about their front three. Look, Golovkin, or whatever you want to call him, I actually think he's a quality player. The last World Cup, I think he was their best player. I thought he was outstanding.
One of the players of the tournament.
He moved to Valencia after that, didn't he? I'm not sure where. I'm not sure.
Monaco. He moved to Monaco. Yeah.
Monaco. Look, for me, he's a player I'd love Spurs to go and get. I think he's really good. The Zuba or whatever you want to call him up front. Look, he'll just attack balls. He knows where the net is. Miranchuk the other side. Look, I think this could be the tournament where it explodes. The thing is with Russia, you don't know what you're going to get. They can either be very good or very bad. Let's wait and see. Look, I'll reserve my when we do all the teams in the group, I'll tell you what I think where Russia are going to place. But they have a chance. They have a chance. They have a chance. For me, they're competing with Denmark for the third spot. And Wayne Bonner says, I'm not a fan of stats. I'm not a stats man, but I do love Jack's stats. 100%. I hate stats, Wayne. But with Jack, the way he can put it across, it's unbelievable. He can do it like nobody else. And then Matty Hayes, does throw in some good stats in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Matty honestly, this is what I'm talking about. Jack is top notch at it. Jack, do you want to say that to Wayno?
No, Wayno, I really appreciate Wayne Bonner. I really appreciate, all the super chats. You're way, way too kind to us. And Wayne, I really appreciate, that's kind of like what my sister once said about me is that, especially for Americans who most of them really hate football. My sister once said, the reason that makes Jack a good football fan is he can explain football to people without being condescending. So, it's
yeah.
So I really appreciate it, Wayne. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Believe me, I wish I could actually go through this whole lineup and try to pronounce all these names, but maybe that's for another show. But yeah, I really appreciate it, Wayne. Really big up.
No, big up, Wayne Bonner. Appreciate all the super chats, my man. I really do. Anyone else with your thoughts, opinions, feel free to get the super chats in. But look, Jack, you're like a train. We're not going to stop you, man. Let's get on.
We're not stopping. Last thing I'll say is Stanislav Cherchesov, which is a great name. He was their last manager in the World Cup, and they did, perform obviously quite well. So maybe, he's going to continue on that vein of form. Moving on to Finland, I think we're going to breeze past Finland here. Listen, they got some quality players in there, but there really are not a lot of players in Europe's top 5 leagues. In fact, they only have 5 players in the entire squad from Europe's top 5 leagues, in the likes of, I believe, Lukas Radetsky, who is a great keeper for Bayer Leverkusen, Juna Toivo, who I believe plays in the championship, and then Robin Lod, who I believe is a winger in, I believe, Germany, and then Timo Pukki, obviously the Norwich striker, who's just been absolutely on fire for Norwich, but also for country. And I think that is the big thing here is they have this guy, Pojampolo, is supposedly some big number 9 that will knock things down to Pukki and kind of play him in behind. And if this works for them, maybe they'll have a big upset. That's the only thing I could see happening for Finland is maybe some type of upset where they might take some points off somebody and kind of make things difficult for another team or maybe ruin their tournament. That's what I see happening to them, but nothing really more than that. Last thing I'll say is Finnish is, in fact, one of the more interesting languages in the world. It actually is, obviously, they border between Sweden and Russia, but actually the language is not even similar at all, really, to Swedish or Russian. In fact, it's actually connected mostly to like Hungary language or Estonia language, which is like the Magyar language. And the last thing I'll say about the Finnish language is it is actually inspired Elvish, which is the language from The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, 100%. No, look, I'm Finland. Look, it's a country I'd love to go and see, but that's as far as it stems for me, to be honest with you. Timo Pukki, if he doesn't score, they're not going to really score goals. And look, they were just delighted to qualify, to be honest with you. I can only see them really making up the numbers. And Wayne Bonner says, Jack, your sister's right. 100%, Wayne, she is right. 100%. And
listen, David, I think you want to give your predictions, or I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the screen.
Oh, yeah. So on this, look, I agree with Jack here. Belgium, for me, tops the group. Denmark, second. And I think Russia will take one of them 4 spots coming out of this group, third, with the highest points.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go with 3 to get out of this group.
Interesting. What also maybe would be a good shout if anybody is, thinking about maybe calling some upsets. Maybe Belgium, might not be so squeaky clean for them. I bet they'll still top the group, but I bet they will drop points to one of these teams. So I think that would be a good shout.
100%.
Moving on to Group C, we have Austria, Netherlands, Ukraine, and North Macedonia. Listen, obviously, I back my Ukrainians. What I really actually originally had here is the Ukrainians topping the group, but I think everybody would have gone berserk. But I will let you know that is what I really think, actually, and what I really want to happen is the Ukrainians topping the group. But I do think maybe there's a good chance, if that doesn't happen, that somebody in this group maybe hopefully will get some sort of, third place qualification. Because I do back at least Austria and Ukraine. I do think they're a lot stronger teams than people give them credit for. And that's why I will actually give Austria the first place position over Netherlands, and I will explain. So with Austria, they do line up in very kind of conventional 4-2-3-1. They're not as, let's say, maybe attack-minded or as attackingly strong, but they have a ton of players on this team that can run practically forever. And the likes of Stefan Leiner here from Borussia Mönchengladbach, this is just a winger that he's not the most technically sound, but this guy just bombs up and down the pitch like nobody else. And the likes of Ulmer, I've heard the same thing as well. Stefan Ilsanker, he's a bit of a legend. They have kind of like a very old, ancient kind of pivot midfield in the likes of Ilsanker and I believe Christian Baumgartner from Bayer Leverkusen. But what I really would love to see them do instead is this guy, Xaver Schlager from Wolfsburg, and then I believe another one, Konrad Leimer from Leipzig. Konrad Leimer and Xaver Schlager, I really highly rate. They're just total workhorsemen. These guys just bomb up and down the pitch. They're really pacey as well, actually, for midfielders. Like Leimer especially is just rapid for a midfielder. And to be honest, like, it could, if they played that combination there, they probably won't, because they would want to have a bit more experience in there. Leimer and Schlager are quite young, and I don't believe have a lot of probably caps or experience. But if they did go for that, I mean, talk about like very quality two pivot midfielders, kind of a little bit different to the likes of Højbjerg and Delaney, but very similar in terms of just the, very, very solid. And the likes of Marcel Sabitzer, he is going to be playing that number 10 position. He will always be playing right behind the striker. And the likes of David Alaba, David Alaba, one of my favorite players of all time. I practically cried when they gave his kind of salute or, send off to Bayern. He really is basically just an all-around footballer. If you're just looking around all-around footballers, practically one of the best of all time. This guy can play every single position on the pitch. He can play number 9. He can play number 10. He can play holding midfield. He can play center back. He can play left back. He can do anything. And I think for them, what they've been really preferring him is to be this kind of left mid, kind of just bombing up and down the pitch, also helping out the left back as well defensively and in the center of the park, but then delivering in really quality crosses here into this guy who will move on to Sasha Kaladzic from Stuttgart. This is that 6'7", really young striker who I believe it's somewhere in here. He should have scored. I don't know why I didn't write it. Down there. He's got 16 goals in the Bundesliga this season. So he's really actually had an incredible form. 6'7", knows how to win at anything in the air, obviously with that height, but actually has a good touch on him. Really good touch for a big man. Knows how to kind of actually put a defender on his feet. And really has a pretty tidy finish as well. He actually likes a good chip. I mean, believe me, actually all of his qualities are kind of ironic considering his height and stature. But like with these guys, whoever they play on the right here, and with also Alaba here, there will be quality delivery into this guy who will be an absolute menace. And if he continues his form, really back Austria to actually top the group if this guy lights it up.
Look, on Austria, I have a few comments on that I want to get to. But yeah, on Austria, look, another team that Ireland have played a couple of times over the last few years. Very industrious, very hard to break down, know how to look after the ball and can create chances. Also watched them against England. Only lost the game 1-0. Mm-hmm. Okay, you probably could have said, okay, England didn't play their best starting 11, and when they brought on subs, the game changed. They could have also put England to bed before that as well, though. So, look, for me, I actually rate the Austrians. I think they're going to be a very hard team to beat. And I agree with you. I think they're going to top the group. I really do. Look, David Alaba, look, that striker, 6'7", I actually do know a bit about him. Just put delivery in there. He'll go and attack it all day long. He's a handful. He's a handful, this guy. You have Sabitzer there, like I said. Leimer, another very industrious player. So look, don't write the Austrians off getting out of this group.
And you also have the eternal Marko Arnautovic as well, who's always a little cheeky on the ball, loves a good mag, loves a good cheeky goal. And then this is the last thing. This is the only thing that I would say that kind of maybe takes away from all the praise that I gave them. They don't necessarily have like a real proven or well-known goalkeeper at all. In fact, they recently have been employing this guy Bachmann, who took over for Foster, the cycling goalkeeper at Watford. Halfway through the season, and supposedly had a great half season in the championship. But like I said, not a real proven goalkeeper, anybody that's of real stature or fame and caps, to be honest, really as well. So that will be maybe the one worry, is they don't have a real shot stopper.
Yeah, no, look, I do think when you come in later into the rounds, that'll probably affect them. But trust me, they're getting out of this group, and I think they're top. So I believe. I think you're correct there, Jack. Let's talk Spurs, which is aka Kieran, who does be a panelist on this channel. Great input all the time. We were on Paxton Road earlier on today. Gave him a bit of a tough ride, but I still love you. And he says someone rating the Austrians finally. Everyone been writing them off and saying crazy things like North Macedonia to make an upset. Yeah, no, look, Twitter's a crazy place, my man. Twitter's a crazy place. Trust me, Macedonia ain't causing an upset. Wayne Bonner says Ukraine and Austria to get out of the group. I'm going to have my opinion at the end. And it's going to be an interesting one. I feel sorry for anyone that got Macedonia in the sweepstake, obviously. And Jack, when you were going through Austria, I wasn't laughing at you. This is what I was laughing at. Will Stewart, love you like a little brother, Jack. But you have too many teams. Narrow it down to at least 4, lad.
Yeah, listen, it's really hard, Will Stewart, with the third place positions and the teams that I really back. to actually win it. I did, keep it pretty simple. I said Portugal or Germany are the teams that I think are going to win it, and I could see them even meeting each other in the final. That's what my even simulator had doing when I did the simulator. I had Portugal and Germany meeting in the final, and so it's
very interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I'll say, Will, is, it's kind of difficult with this third place kind of system. It's almost pretty much impossible. It really makes the whole tournament a lot more confusing. Makes it really interesting as well, but does make it a lot more confusing to really be like concrete on where each team will really finish.
100%. And Wayne Bonner, and big up Will for the super chats, man, made me giggle. And Wayne Bonner says, are there any keepers you'd sign at the Euros?
Any keepers? Trying to think of one that we haven't heard of. To be honest, I believe, but I don't think he even was included actually in the Ukrainian squad. So that's kind of pointless. But the Real Madrid had that, up and coming keeper Lunin that they signed. Maybe we could get him, but I don't think he's
Ukrainian.
Yeah, he's Ukrainian.
Yeah.
I don't think he was included though in the Ukrainian squad. So then maybe that's not a good shout. But
interesting.
It's actually interesting. There are not a lot of the keepers that you would sign are already pretty old as it is, and there are not a lot of necessarily super proven keepers. Maybe Mike Magnan is maybe the one that you would sign, but we won't be seeing a lot of him because Hugo will be playing over him as well. That's kind of the difficult thing, is some of the keepers you might want to sign, you might not see play because there's someone with a bit more caps that would be playing ahead of him.
100%. Look, guys, there's 90 odd. It's bouncing up between 90 and 100. It's insane because, to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd get much today with the time of the day and, with the Euros going on and everything else. So it just goes to show how good Jack's doing of a job. Make sure you do smash a like on the stream and subscribe on the channel. And if you want us to discuss your opinions on the Euros or anything else, just get your super chats in and let us know, and keep getting them comments in the comment section. But look, let's go on to a team that I think, either they're going to go deep or they're going to struggle and might not get out of the group.
Absolutely, David. I think the same way, with Netherlands too, right? They even missed the last couple of tournaments, I believe. They've been really out of form. They have no Virgil van Dijk, by the way, everybody. So you have to consider that. And this is the other big. So those are two worries. The other third worry is this is from Squawka, by the way, which I really rate. Really good site for this kind of thing. But they're kind of some of their previews are a little outdated because I think they posted them all around May 20th or May 25th or something. So some of these players are actually not in the lineup, especially this guy, Jasper Silsen, who we know from Valencia and who is their best keeper. He is not being included. I believe he had COVID-19 and will be missing the tournament entirely. So these are their three keepers, Tim Krul, Stecklenburg, and Bizo. These guys, obviously, when you calculate this all out, it's all over the age of 100. I don't really rate them as much as keepers anymore. Maybe Tim Krul might be the best of them. But Tim Krul, he's not really the best on his feet anymore. He's maybe just the only thing he's good at, I would say, is just being an absolute shithouse when it comes to penalties and penalty shootouts. He's pretty glorious when it comes to that. But yeah, that will be a big worry for them, I think, is they do not have necessarily any keepers, I would say, that are of great quality or necessarily in their prime. Stecklenburg, legend, but 38, and Krul, former legend, I think, but 33. And I don't really rate him as much anymore, especially for tournaments like this one. He might be, taking in a lot of shots. I think when he isn't dealing with a lot, he might do well. When he has to deal with a lot of shots, I think he'll struggle. But then maybe let's move on to some of the positives. Some of the positives are, this is an incredible midfield, I would say. You have so many options in the midfield here. Jorginho Wijnaldum, if he's playing the 10, which I think they've been doing recently, I do think that works. I think that makes sense. But let's say he's not performing well. Tuit van de Beek, who's had pretty torrid time at Manchester United, but I do think probably would be very motivated to perform for his national side to prove people wrong.
Spurs need to go and get him.
Yeah, I love Van de Beek, to be honest. I loved him in that Ajax run. Davy Klaassen has actually had a spectacular season back in the Eredivisie after moving from the Bundesliga. I think it's somewhere written down here. He's had 15 goals in the Eredivisie as a midfielder, as a center mid, a true center mid. I believe he even finished with 10 assists or something as well. He's had a monster season in the Eredivisie, but I will say everybody seems to have monster seasons there. Frankie de Jong, obviously one of the better holding midfielders, technically sound midfielders. And then if they were to play Ryan Gravenberch next to him, I just think that'd be absolute class of quality. And then going forward, they do have interesting team going forward. The likes of Steven Berghuis and Memphis Depay is very dangerous. Steven Berghuis, I haven't actually seen a lot of him play, but he's been in the Eredivisie a long time, and he's had a really incredible season. 18 goals and 13 assists in the Eredivisie for Feyenoord, which is also maybe the third best team in the Eredivisie, is not the top two. So I do actually rate that season. That must be a very good season, and maybe he's coming off very good form. And then up front, they do have different options. And the likes of Luc de Jong, pretty famous for that team, has had some brilliant moments of finishing it in the big moments. And then obviously the big striker this season, Wout Weghorst, the 6'6" or whatever, 6'5" monster in the air, has had a great season for Wolfsburg, who could also be very useful. And then Donja Malen, who everybody rates, as a young up and coming player from PSV Eindhoven. And he's very pacey, can also play on the wing as well. Depay's right here. Depay would be playing on the left wing right here. He would be, I think you're going to expect to be seeing him up playing on the left wing, and then maybe someone like Wout Weghorst maybe playing up top. But Donja Malen, maybe we will see him. He's supposed to be very up and coming talent, very pacey, might be playing up there or on the left. And maybe Depay moving up top. But do rate this team a lot, but they have missed the last two tournaments. They are without Van Dijk. And to be honest, I don't rank Frank de Boer as a coach as well. Do not rank him. And I really think he's struggled. He's kind of been changing the football a lot, been changing the system, kind of moving away from the total Dutch football, which has hurt them, I will admit. But, I just don't really rate him. And I do think he might have the possibility of kind of maybe being outclassed by the likes of Austria.
For me, I think they have some great individuals. De Ligt, Van de Beek, De Jong, Depay is a threat, Weghorst is a threat. But honestly, I don't rate David Klaassen. I've seen him come up against better opposition than he'd be playing week in, week out in the Dutch league.
You're right.
He struggles. De Jong, I don't rate as in the striker De Jong, that guy, and the other De Jong. I don't rate him. To be honest with you, who's our fullbacks here, Jack?
We have Denzel Dumfries from, I believe, PSV Eindhoven. He's actually one of the ones I would look at to maybe sign, because he's actually, I haven't seen, to be honest, too much of him play, but I've seen what he looks like, his stature when I have seen him play. He's very big in the air, and he's actually one of the best fullbacks in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, I believe, in terms of headers won. So he's an absolute presence. He's an absolute presence, very strong. I believe he's very tall as well. So he's kind of maybe just a menace of a fullback, maybe not what maybe people originally thought of him. But Joel Veltman has had a great season below him, and I do rate as a defender. I think he's a very solid defender under him, that guy from Brighton who came from Ajax. I do rate him. And then Patrick Van Aanholt, and then Owen Wijnaldum. I don't know much about them. I obviously know about Van Aanholt. I think he's all right. I think he could be good for this side. But the defense is maybe not the strongest. But maybe with De Ligt leading the side, maybe captain's mentality as well, maybe he could, maybe this could be a similar side to the likes of Ajax.
Look, for me, where I actually think Holland will get a lot of joy, right, is if he played a midfield trio of De Jong, Wijnaldum, and Donny van de Beek playing in that more or less kind of in front of them, and making them runs that where he made his name at Ajax. Beyond the striker, like what Dele Alli used to do at Tottenham, making your runs beyond the striker, but also he's very technical on the ball. And I think United are missing a trick not playing this guy, and I'd love Tottenham to go and get him. With the pie out one side, I'm not. Look, the other wing, I'm not. I don't know who you'd put there. Look, I do think they could cause a problem if they could get it going and if they pick the right players. But it's very hard to ask them to have a good tournament without their main man, Van Dijk. On the contrary, I actually do think Tim Krul will be good for them. With Holland, he turns up in tournaments. Whenever he gets his chance, he turns up.
He does.
But look, it's one of these. They're either going to struggle and go early, or else they're going to get out of the group and they could surprise a lot of people. But for me, I think they're lacking mentality. Lacking that leader. I think they're going to struggle.
I agree, and this is where I have on my prediction.
And like you said, the manager as well. He's a shithouse.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. And this is where my prediction is. I do have them at the round of 16. And what I do kind of mean by that is I actually, if I really wanted to make anything from this, if I really wanted to put a big bet down, I would say Netherlands don't make it out of the group. But then if they would make it out of the group, I would expect them, once they get to the knockout stage, I expect them to kind of get punched in the mouth and kind of just have a pretty embarrassing defeat to whoever they might face. Because I think whoever makes it to the knockout stage will be gearing, will be going. And I don't think the Dutch personally will have a very sensational group stage. So whoever they play in the round of 16 has a good chance of beating them. But moving on to
just quickly before you go into your favorite team, and I fully agree with everything you said on Holland. Just quickly, Wayne Bonner says, David, how do you feel about everyone saying Lannon 100% since they met you? Do you wish you copyrighted it? Look, Wayne, on that, to be honest with you, look, it's the Dave effect, it's the Irish Hotspur effect, the Harris effect,
that's brilliant,
whatever you want to call it. But look, if I can have that effect on people, and with my infectious smile, and people are saying my words and everything else, I'm all for it. I love it. So look, I don't wish I copyrighted it, Wayne. No, I don't. To be honest with you, look, if I have that effect on people, it's all great, and I love it. So big yourself up, Wayne.
I love that, Wayne. No, absolutely. He has his own dialect. It's the Harris Army dialect, and we're all trying to learn it. We're all trying to pick it up. But yeah, also the one else. No, the other one is at the end of the day. The other one is at the end of the day. That's what I'm also saying all the time now.
No, and look, do you know that 100%? I'm actually well aware that I use them words a lot as well, but I just can't help it.
No, I can't help myself either now. I can't help it. Believe me, it just makes so much sense. They're great transitional words. It's great. I love it.
The thing is, I'm not the most intellectual person, so I don't know how to throw big words in or anything. So I just use basic words, and it's a great way to kind of stall while you're thinking. So it's brilliant. But big up Wayne Bonner. But honestly, look, let's keep trucking along. Jack is a steam train. We're going to keep pumping coal into the oven just to keep him motoring. So look, I'm going to get my fan because again, I'm sweating like an absolute pig. I feel like I've had 4 Big Macs from McDonald's right now and I'm getting the meat sweat. So, look, I'm just going to grab the fan quickly and I'm going to let Jack take it away on his favourite team this summer. And I will be listening. I just have to go and get the fan from over there and plug it in so I can still hear you, Jacko.
Absolutely. I think that's a little dangerous, David, because leaving me alone with everybody with Ukraine, it could end badly just because I love this team too much, spend an hour on them. But moving on to Ukraine, this is my dark horse. I will have a quick rant and say, I think everybody has their own interpretation, their own definition of the dark horse. To be honest, I think it's been a little colluded or a little bit maybe watered down, where it's, including teams that have actually won the tournament before, teams that have always been backed as big teams are now being called dark horses, which me personally, I don't think is, the right definition. And I would go with Ukraine as being a very classic, good dark horse, a team that maybe could surprise people that no one's talking about, and a team that I actually see maybe making the round of 16 at least, if not further. But moving on to them, they have a excellent mix of youth and experience. They have some of my favorite old names of kind of the, like the very Soviet era Ukrainian kind of midfielders and defenders. One of them is Stepanenko from Shakhtar Donetsk. I really rate this guy. I've always rated this guy. He's just an absolute legend for that team. He plays in the holding midfield role or kind of center back position. He's a brilliant left footer, kind of like a Højbjerg, but also just really technically sound. And they have really really quality left-footed defenders in the likes of Matvienko at center back, who's kind of a left back, center back kind of mold, but he plays center back for Ukraine. He's from Shakhtar Donetsk as well. I think he's around 24, 25, someone who I think we should really actually look at getting just because he is really quality in that center back position. He's quite tall, very technically composed, just really good player. Zinchenko will be playing almost kind of like a number, not really number 10, maybe like a number 8 position, kind of in that midfield. He will be playing maybe in front of the center defensive mid and next to Malinovsky, who I think plenty know about from Atalanta, number 10 for them. This guy has an absolute rocket behind his boot. I honestly think they should look inside his boots or something, just make sure that everything's, going on, to regulation in there, because sometimes the way this guy hits the ball really looks like he's practically flattening it every time that he hits it. This guy really has an absolute banger on him. And really, we might see him actually just out of nowhere. I'm not kidding. Out of nowhere against the total run of play, he might just crack one from, 20 yards, 30 yards, and just maybe change the game entirely. Yaremchuk, he's had an actually pretty solid season in the Ukrainian league. I think he's had 18 goals, There's another guy who you might not be seeing play, but someone who I've always really rated because I've seen him plenty of times before, and he's had great seasons in the Ukrainian Premier League. His name is Viktor Zagonkov, and he's very young, around 22, 23, I believe, plays for Dynamo Kiev. And he's kind of, it's hard to say. He's almost like a Ukrainian Bernardo Silva is how I would describe him in a way. Very good left footer, knows how to cut inside, really creative as well. But he's had 14 goals in the Ukrainian league, and I think also bagged a lot of assists as well. But yeah, this is a team. They all know each other plenty from the Ukrainian league. They all know each other. They've been growing up each other with the same academies of either Dynamo Kiev or Shakhtar Donetsk. And to be honest, I really do back this team. I think this is one of their better teams that they'll ever have. The one maybe question is maybe the goalkeeping position. I don't believe they included Lunin just because he hasn't played a lot of games. And they might be going with that very legendary, almost like Chernobyl-looking goalkeeper and the like of Pyatov, who I do think is hilarious to watch and is hilarious to look at. But I do not maybe. He is good for Ukraine, but in certain moments, he kind of lacks a little bit of that agility and certain shots on target. So, might be a bit of a worry. But this is a team full of players that no one knows about, but I do actually very much highly rate. So, yeah. And the unfortunate thing, the last thing I'll finish with, which is very unfortunate, you unfortunately cannot name an entire starting 11 with endings of Enko. So it is quite sad.
Well, look, it kind of goes along with Wayne Bonner's comment. And I have a question for you, Jack. And I think I already know the answer. But Wayne Bonner says, I like Ukraine. They play football I like. And my question off the back of Wayne Bonner's super chat, by the way, Wayne Bonner, thank you so much, is if anyone could pull off a Greece at the Euros, like they did when they got Oshie or whatever you call that guy in, do you think it could be Ukraine this time around?
Absolutely. Nope. Like an even better example, like that Greece team, right? Perfect example of a full team, not a team of individuals, a team. But also have maybe a couple, players here and there who can really, bag and a goal or an assist, every now and again and hold on strong. I think this is almost maybe a better team of that. I think they actually have a bit more technically sound players than that Greek team of the past. And so, yeah, I think that's a brilliant analysis or similarity. This is definitely the real dark horse, kind of like the dark horse Greek Euro version. So absolutely.
No, I thought you'd say that. Or I thought I knew the answer would be yes. But I agree with you. For me, if there's any team that can do with Greece this summer, I think it could be Ukraine. And I'm very excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I'll say about the Ukrainians.
Look, between them and Austria, I think it'll be battling between them to top the group. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how Netherlands fare. But great insight on Ukraine, Jack. Yeah, and I'm excited, man, and I know you are too.
Last thing I'll say about
in the comments.
Last thing I'll say about the Ukrainians is one of the things I do love about them is that they have that funny connection with Brazil, where they have a lot of Brazilian players who never made it for their national team that come over and play in Shakhtar, play in Dynamo, play for even the national team as well. And what I think is funny is that kind of system, or even that farming system that they do with Brazil, actually has produced the likes of Zinchenko and Malinovsky and Yarmolenko, very technically gifted players who know how to cut inside and almost play like Brazilians practically. And so, I think that's also one thing that's very fascinating about how the Ukrainians play. They have a lot of Brazilian influence, really, in how they play.
They do look, and just quickly to have the look. There's a lot of things going on with Ukraine and Russia and everything else at the minute. Trust me, they're going to want to make a statement this tournament, and that could galvanize them enough to beat anybody on their day.
Absolutely. Really well said, David. Moving on to maybe everybody's favorite hipster team, North Macedonia. This will be quick. Listen, I'm really looking forward to seeing Goran Pandev, the absolutely eternal Goran
He's
Pandev.
Still playing for them.
He's 37 years old. I believe he bagged 7 goals and 3 assists in the Serie A this season. And only kind of a handful of games as well. Really only a handful of games. He's an absolute legend. One of Jose's men from the past. Excuse me. Yeah. Really rate Goran. Really would love to see him just, mega player, shove him over, throw him to the ground, and then just bang it near post on the keeper. I think that'd just be absolute class. Elif Ilmaz, also kind of like everybody's favorite hipster player from FIFA or whatever, supposed to have great potential. He was supposed to actually be leaving to come to a team like Spurs or something in the summer and kind of get a bit more playing time. But he unfortunately stayed behind at Napoli with Gattuso and wasn't really played at all. So that's also kind of a concern, right? He didn't really get much playing time. Ademi, you might remember from Dinamo Zagreb game. I thought he had a great, 2 legs against us. And then Alioski, obviously from Leeds United. That's all I'll say. Maybe they'll get an upset, maybe they'll pull off an upset where they'll make someone drop 2 points or maybe even 3. I don't see them making a team drop 3 points, but maybe they make a team drop 2 points. But a little fun fact about Macedonia, it's actually one of the smallest capitals of European countries with just a capital of 700,000 people. And it is, in fact, one of the most mountainous countries, I think, per square mile in the world. Which I do think is fascinating. And it's obviously, as we maybe know from Alexander the Great, it is one of the most ancient, maybe civilizations or empires of human history.
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. And look, another great insight. I don't know how you found the insight on these guys. I really don't. Look, Goran Pandev, championship or football manager legend as well. I actually rate Goran. I really do. I think he's a good player. I'd love nothing more to see him score at this Euros. Alioski, okay, on his day, he can cause a bit of a threat. But honestly, I think these are the whipping boys of the group. I do think they're going to lose all 3 games. And that's why I'm picking a 13th place to get out of this group as well.
Yeah.
But look, I don't know much on North Macedonia. I'm surprised. I was actually very surprised to see that they qualified. They are shit. And I just think they're going to be the whipping boys of this group. But look, Wayne Bonner, he says, who is the Ukraine manager? Is it still Rebrov?
Oh, it's Andrei Shevchenko, the very famous striker, and also a model, I believe. So this is the thing, Wayne. Obviously, maybe Statman Jack is going to provide you right here. Andrei Shevchenko is not only Ukraine's manager and also practically the best ever Ukrainian player. He also is a model in a lot of in Europe. And he, I believe, is also a Ukrainian diplomat or politician. So the man does it all. He's practically like the Manny Pacquiao of Ukraine, if not more. So really, true legend. Andrei Shevchenko.
100%. Look, Shevchenko manager, what more do you want? The greatest Ukrainian player of all time. Great striker in his day before he moved to Chelsea. Absolutely phenomenal. Just quickly before we give our quick opinions on Group C. Will Stewart says, David, is the fact that a guy named O'Shaughnessy is playing for Finland a crime? Yeah, it is a crime, to be honest with you. It is a crime. Look, we're in a position where we need to cap every player that we can get with. To be honest with you, I'm not too sure if he could play for Ireland. I presume he could with a name like that, 100%. But look, it's a crime. Look, we should have capped Jack Grealish earlier. We should have capped Declan Rice earlier. Instead, we decided to play him in a friendly and then let England get their hands on him. So, look, we need to start capping players as soon as we can and have a bigger pool to select from. So I couldn't agree more with you, Will Stewart, on that, my man. I really couldn't. Great comment. And, yes, it's a crime, and I'm pissed off with it. We need every player we can get. The fact that, if he is Irish, that there's Irish representation at the Euros somehow, you can never keep the Irish down. It's brilliant, Will. But big yourself up for the super chat, man. Wayne Bonner says, David and Jack, this is a great stream. Love it.
I love that.
Me and Jack are the new duo in town. Me and Jack are the new duo in town. Look, I'm creating so many duos. I have the Frenemies with Marcelo. I have the Jack Show. You know what I mean? We're creating duos left, right, and centre here. And we seem to be getting them spot on at the minute. So hopefully we can keep going. But honestly, Jack knows this. I've said it to him plenty of times. He's elevating this channel and taking it to a new level. The guy's so talented, it's unbelievable. And then Wayne Bonner says that Will Stewart is on it today. 100%.
You're on it as well, though, Wayne. You're on it as well. You've been an absolute legend today, Wayne. Yeah. You're on it as well. Big yourself up as well, Wayne. You're a true legend, brother.
Look, Wayne Bonner and Will Stewart are a new duo as well. They're always on it in the comment sections and super chats and everything else. Wayne Bonner and Will Stewart are a duo. But look, on Group C, look, for me, I think Jack has it spot on. The only thing I probably would change would be Netherlands and Ukraine, in my opinion. I'm going bold, I'm going brave. I'm going to do what my dad told me and put my balls on the line. I'm going to go Austria. I'm actually going to go Austria to top the group.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Austria to top the group. I'm going to go Ukraine second and Netherlands to get out of that group in third.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, David. That's what I want to see happen. And to be honest, it's like, with Netherlands, it's just one of those teams, like they really haven't played up to the status that they usually have. They're not the team that we sometimes associate them with. And really with Frank de Boer, I really do think that this team is maybe actually capable of like a real fallout, maybe a Germany-esque fallout from the last World Cup kind of situation, believe me. Moving on to Group C.
Just this comment from Tom and James Smith. He says, it's in depth without being boring. Matt Hayes, look out. Honestly, this is the best compliment you could probably get for this show. Because, look, I agree, sometimes when you're watching stat-based and everything else, and sometimes it can get a bit boring. But one thing Jack doesn't do is he's not boring. I don't think he believes this, but I actually find him very, very funny. I really do, and I know a lot of you guys do too. Look, Jack's great at the way he presents all of this. And one thing you'll never be with Jack is bored. I can tell you that. What a great compliment. And Wayne Bonner says, is that a Fiorentina shirt?
Yes, it actually is. It is also my favorite player of all time. I'll turn around. Hopefully, don't pull over the screen or anything, but it is Stefan Jovetic, if you can see it. The original Fiorentina long sleeve. I got this from eBay from a man from Serbia. I literally cried when it arrived in the mail and put it on. Supposedly, it came from the club shop or was, touched or something by Jovetic. I don't really believe it. But then again, I've had this shirt for a very long time and it stayed in complete contact. The stitching is, very real and everything. So maybe it is. Maybe Jovetic did touch it. But just the idea that a Serbian man gave this to me from my favorite player of all time. I'm not even kidding. I cried for days.
No, I bet you did. I like Jovetic as well. I really do. I think they missed a trick not trying to loan him off Real Madrid when they were looking to loan him out. Will Stewart says this is going to be a big win for Denmark. I got 2-0. I put in my prediction. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's along the same line, Will. And Wayne Bonner says, big up Thomas James Smith for that comment.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Wayne. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Thomas. And big up Will Stewart as well. Big up Will Stewart. Should I have picked more? It's still 0-0. Look, I don't know. No, I'd stick with 2-0. I think it's a fair assessment. Could be 3, but that's what I go with. But Jack, how many groups are actually in this show?
We have.
So we're on D.
We're on D, and we have E and F left. We're halfway.
Oh, perfect. Loads of time. Loads of time. Look, let's keep cracking on, my man. To be honest with you, right, with Ireland not being at the Euros, I really didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I'm absolutely loving this stream. And especially because it's a nice break from talking Tottenham when Tottenham's stressing me out, giving me heart attacks, getting me antsy. I can just sit back and enjoy it, and I really am. And Wayne Bonner says, our group is very interesting. And look, we're going to get on to that. I have a very interesting take. I know a lot of people are going to laugh at me, or I could create a few enemies on this. But look, hear me out. But look, Jack, take it away, my man.
Listen, I'm going to let David, save that logic, save that prediction, but I'll let you know people are also going to gripe on me. I actually really agree with David, and I do fall in line with them. But I am going to go with maybe that this is kind of a bit more of the conventional prediction of this group that I am going to go with. I'm kind of going for less of a risky kind of prediction than I did with the other groups. This is I'm going to go with kind of the conventional, what everyone seems to think is going to happen. So with Croatia, who I actually do think have a good chance of topping the group. But what is interesting about Croatia is they're not really necessarily going into this tournament with really the best of form, to be honest. Like recent results, 0-1 to Belgium, where they lost, 1-1 to Armenia, draw, 3-0 they beat Malta. But, it's Malta, 1-0 only to Cyprus, and then a 0-1 loss to Slovenia. That is a little bit concerning, I would say. Also, in the Nations League, 1 win and 5 losses. They are in Nations League A, which is a very, tough group. And I think Group 3 as well is full of very good teams. But they did have 1 win and 5 losses. That's showing also against maybe more quality opposition. They're actually not really, taking it to them. But then, maybe we'll move on to a bit of the positive. You do look at this team, and this team is full of absolute ballers. This team is full of absolute ballers. I mean, Rebic, their goal scorers. You just look at this list of the goal scorers here. Let me get out my pointer here. Rebic, 11 goals, I think, in all competitions this season. Kramaric, 22 goals in all competitions this season. Pekovic, 13 goals from Dinamo Zagreb, 13 goals in all all season or all competitions. Sorry, Pekovic, I think we'll remember also from Dinamo Zagreb from that fixture. Budimir, also apparent. I think he's also from the Croatian league. 11 goals. Orsic, that man who got that hat trick against us, 22 goals in all competitions this season. And then Nikola Vlasic from CSKA Moscow, 11 goals in all competitions. They have goal scorers. They have people that know how to put it in the net. And even interestingly, too, they're kind of going for a little bit different of a system. Supposedly, we might be seeing Ivan Perisic playing up top, which I actually kind of fancy because I do love Perisic. One of my favorite players actually growing up, because he kind of has just played a lot of positions over time. He used to be kind of like a left mid, almost like Kwadwo Asamoah kind of player. of times past. And then he moved into being more of like an actual goal scorer, an actual creator, an actual real threat going forward. And he's now been able to kind of play a bunch of positions. He can play off the left because he has that really dangerous left foot. He puts in some of the most dangerous low crosses you'll ever see. And then also with Theirishyid, he's one of the most two-footed players you'll ever see too. Very good two-footed player. Knows how to finish easily with both feet. And
see, he's the sort of guy I'd jack off to, Theirishyid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'd be excited by him if he was to come to that.
No, absolutely. True legend, especially also, to be honest, when Bayern won the Champions League 2 seasons ago, when they won that Champions League run, I mean, he was actually one of the players that was really performing for them on the left wing. He was going up and down, really helping out Alphonso Davies defensively, but then going forward as well. He was just being an absolute menace with some of these balls that he would put in the box, like just balls that would either end up in an own goal or just Lewandowski just absolutely burying it. He really is. I really always highly rate Theirishyid. And then him going through the middle, I really rate as well. He's still got a bit of pace on him for his age. He's still a little bit rapid. He's very strong. I think people don't realize how tall he is and how big he is. I think he's like 6'2" or something like that. Yeah. Big, strong player. And then with the likes of Kramaric, who I've always loved, one of my favorite players of all time. I've seen him play in the Bundesliga when I was studying there. And this guy scored a hat trick against my team, Hertha Berlin. And believe me, all 3 goals were just insane. And this guy has a real curler on him, especially if he's cutting in on the left. And cutting inside, he's just going to bang. He's a good
manipulator of the ball, that guy.
Yeah, and he's really, really clever. Really clever. Likes to embarrass people as well. Nikola Vlasic, supposedly very big up-and-coming player from the Russian league. I think he's around 23, 24 years of age. Supposedly very good player. Really good creator. This guy loves a good outside-the-foot pass. Believe me, like he'll do it anytime he can. Very two-footed, though, but loves a good outside-the-foot pass. So do most of these players, to be honest, when you look at it. But yeah, you just look at this midfield right here. Brozovic holding it down in the center of the park. One of my favorite, another guy like David is saying, kind of gives you a hard on the way he plays in the middle of the field. Just so classy and composed. Kovacic, one of my favorite players of all time. I think this guy is simply one of the best players in history at just taking the ball in that progressive way, just carrying the ball forward. This guy will beat 4 or 5 players without needing to do sometimes what Tanguy does. He doesn't need to do a ton of step overs. He doesn't need to do a ton of feints. He just dribbles at players and just gets by them and then can play a simple ball in behind. He's just that good. I've always really rated Kovacic at that, at really carrying the ball. And to be honest, you look at that midfield 3, if they're on their game, they can absolutely shred any team, really shred them. And the only thing that maybe is their weakness is this kind of back line. If they go for maybe the younger back line, which apparently they have some kind of up-and-coming young defenders in the likes of Chaleta Carr from Marseille, and then Gavardiol from Dinamo Zagreb. Supposedly these guys are actually really good up-and-coming players, and I even believe Gavardiol. Gavardiol is on his way to Leipzig now as well. So supposedly they're very highly rated, and I think if they went for those two in the defense, or maybe I do rate Vida. I think Vida's always been very good for Croatia. He's very rapid as well. He's actually a very quick defender, so it's really hard to play balls in behind with him just because he's very rapid. And so maybe one of these players, Chaleta Carr, Gavardiol next to Vida, I think would be a good recipe for success. Barisic, I believe he's from the French league or something, or Broderic, I believe. Barisic or Broderic, I believe, is from the French league and have had very good seasons as left backs. And then Versalco, we obviously remember from Atletico Madrid, hasn't played a lot this season, but supposedly will be the right back. And I think he does play well for country. So yeah, they will be in kind of this conventional 4-3-3 shape, kind of 4-2-3-1 shape with maybe Brozovic and maybe Kovacic maybe in the center of the park, and then maybe Modric kind of playing a bit up here. But I really see it as kind of just being kind of like a flat 4-3-3 with maybe Brozovic more of a holding midfielder, kind of how maybe Real Madrid play, where Kovacic would be like the Toni Kroos, Luka Modric does his thing, and Brozovic is maybe like a Casemiro. So yeah, that's I'll end it there. But yeah, tactically they'll be a little bit unpredictable, but also like you cannot take out the quality of this team. And compared to Ukraine, the last thing I'll say, it is fantastic. You can field this team. You can field an entire squad of itches.
No, 100%. Look, just before I have my say on it, everyone's telling me now Paratici is a done deal. It's been announced. He's on his way to Tottenham. But look, I want to get back to a super chat. Wayne Bonner's been waiting very patiently for me to answer this. He says, I have a personally signed Spurs shirt by Pat Jennings that I refuse to wear in case it gets dirty. Just on that first part, Wayne, look, 100%. If I had a signed jersey from any ex-player, I wouldn't be wearing it. It'd be in a frame up on my wall. It'd be in a frame on my wall. I wouldn't be wearing it. So do not wear that, my man. Do not wear it.
Good choice.
He says, with the Euros, we may struggle against Croatia, and the Scotland game will be huge. Oh, it's going to be massive. And look, Wayne, I'm going to give my thoughts at the end of this analysis here by Jack. But, it's not going to be as straightforward as a lot of people think for England, I don't think. On Croatia, look, form going into into any competition for Croatia, look, you can kind of throw out the window. One thing they have is great technicians in their team. They have a team that all play for each other and that know how to play football but can dig in for each other as well. And for me, they always turn up to tournaments. So for me, I think they're going to be sound this tournament. I really do. I'd be very, very surprised if they go home early. I really do. I think they just have the know-how to nous Perisic, Modric, Kovacic's quality. You know what I mean? Look, I wouldn't write them off. That's all I'm saying. I think Croatia turn up to a lot of tournaments, and I really like watching Croatia play. So great analysis. And look, I think they'll be thereabouts.
Yeah.
Look, final of the World Cup, knocking England out of the semi-finals. So for me, not going to be easy. It's going to be a spicy game between Croatia and England. England want revenge, but Croatia love beating the English. Most teams in Europe love beating the English. It's just the way it is. But look, Croatia, trust me, they'll take joy in that. So be very, very interesting. That game will be spicy. But I think Croatia will top this group.
Absolutely spicy. You're right, David. And I wrote down here, I think it's interesting. It goes both ways. Croatia's first game against England could be an excellent indicator of how far they'll go. And I think that goes the same for England as well. Just that game, that opening game will tell us a lot about these two teams and who might be topping the group, who might be actually going far into the tournament. So that first game is going to be an absolute cracker. But also I'll say with their managers, Zlatko Dalic, same manager from the World Cup. And also previous tournaments, they know him very well. Maybe that could be a good thing. Maybe that could be a bad thing. Maybe they're getting tired of him. But I actually disagree, considering probably their recent success. I bet they're probably totally behind him. But England, this is probably the team that maybe people actually might know more than me, or probably know just as much as me on. So maybe be happy to somebody send in your comments, send in your chats, and let me know what you think. But this is supposedly the starting England 11. This is the thing. What I've noticed, and this is where people can comment on, with the recent exclusion, I think obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold due to injury. I think with the inclusion of Ben White, I think he's going for a back 3-5. I think originally Southgate wanted to do maybe a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 with Phillips and Rice until Henderson got back. But I actually think he's now going to go back to the back 3, back 5, just simply because I wrote it right down here. The only true central midfielder he's brought are Henderson, who's recovering from injury, Rice, Phillips, Mason Mount, who's a pretty good center mid, but can play everywhere. Is just not necessarily conventionally that position, and Bellingham. So really not a lot of not a lot of central midfielders they really brought with them. So that, to me, I think that indicates there won't be a lot of central midfielders in the middle of the park. There'll probably only be 2. And so I'm thinking it might be a back 5. We've also heard rumors that Luke Shaw supposedly might be playing the left-sided side of a back 3. I think also the inclusion of Bukayo Saka could mean, that's another left wing back you could have. All the full backs that he's bringing. I think this is the big thing, is they will be going to the back 3, back 5. And, it's hard to know. They've had success with it. It got them to the semifinals, that kind of system. It's not the prettiest, but, it's all that it takes to win. And maybe it is the best thing going forward for England. But to be honest, I think this is the most interesting thing. If they finish second in the group, they actually potentially have a much easier route than if they were to finish first. And so who knows? Maybe some teams might literally be playing to get second. Maybe there might be some drop points. It's just really hard to know whether teams ever do that on purpose, but it might be interesting, because I'm not kidding. They are well aware that if you get first, the route is actually a lot more difficult.
Yeah, look, I just want to say...
And lots of injuries, I want to say. Lots of injuries in the English squad. And I think also I think they should pick Jordan Henderson over Pickford. I don't rate Pickford. I do think there could be a time where he might mess up in a big moment. I like Pickford as a person. I think he's kind of a pretty hilarious individual. Obviously had a legendary season for Sunderland. But yeah, I think sometimes there are moments when they do need someone who's less capable of a howler.
No, 100%. Look, I just want to say a massive thank you to Wayne Bonner for that super chat as well, man. So generous. Look, a lot of people probably aren't going to like this, but look, England will walk into the Euros with the same old English mentality that they're going to walk in, roll over everybody, and they're going to win it. Football's coming home. Look, for me, I actually think Gareth Southgate is going to bottle team selections. For me, I don't even think he knows what his best team is. He's switching between a 4 and a 3 at the back. And for me, there's too much going on there already. Look, he's a lot of attacking quality players that he's going to have to fit in. For me, I wouldn't start Sterling. I wouldn't start Rashford. I would be playing Grealish. I would be playing Foden. I would be playing Sancho. I would also be playing Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. I really like Jude Bellingham. I think he's a terrific player. But honestly, look, you know, they tried to keep a lid on it this year going into the tournament. And then all of a sudden, Foden exposed it, comes out with his Gascoigne haircut. You know what I mean? And they just, you know, it's all out there. And for me, look, with England, right, what I've noticed, and look, I'm not popping off or slagging England here because my mother's English. But with England, right, for me, when they go and get tough, they don't have that knit or that grit that they can get through the game.
Yeah.
Mentally, their squads have always been weak when they go and get tough. They have a tough group. Look, Scotland. This is Scotland's cup final, right? Honestly, if Scotland beat England and don't get out of the group, they couldn't give a shit. They've done the arch enemy.
They've already won. They already won
it's
everything.
Their cup final, and they will sing about it until they meet England again in another international competition.
Right.
Czech Republic, another team a lot of people are writing off. I actually think are very, very good. And I think people are going to be surprised with Czech Republic. And again, Croatia, going to be a spicy game. But Croatia likes beating England. Look, any team that comes up against England, they raise their game. They raise the game. And the reason why they do it is because it's not that they hate the English, Jack, though, but it's because of all the bravado coming in before the tournament.
The attention, yeah.
Yeah. You know, everything's England focused and you know, they just think they're going to rock up and they're going to do this. And then it's the pundits beforehand. And, you know, oh, what happens if you play France? Ah, yeah, fuck France. We're England. We're going to beat France, this, that, and the other. It's that mentality. And also, the press loves to build them up and then absolutely destroy them.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, until all them things changes, and to be honest with you, until they get a manager that inspires them instead of a brown nose, I don't think they're going to have the tournament many are expecting them to have. I really, really don't.
I can agree with that. I can agree.
Especially for the squad they have. And it's going to be an interesting one. My biggest thing on it is I genuinely think Gareth Bale will end up bottling squad selections, and that's my opinion on it. I really do.
Yeah.
Wayne Bonner with a super chat. I don't rate Pickford. We need a new number one. I agree with David about England. Southgate doesn't know his best team. Look, I agree with it. Look, for me, Pickford's too erratic. He likes sometimes as a goalkeeper, you just want a quiet goalkeeper who goes about his business.
Yeah, just
you
quiet,
know, Pickford loves to have a moment. You know, he loves to give it the fist pump. Okay, Pickford, go and do that against Croatia when you make a save. Do it against Modric or Perisic because you can guarantee the next shot is going to rifle into the stanchions, and the ball's just going to hit the net that hard. It's just going to get caught between the net and the stanchion. You know, and the thing is, he just doesn't get it. The guy doesn't get it. Like you said, he's capable of a howler. And so I agree with that, Wayno. And yeah, Southgate doesn't know his best team. That's my opinion. I just think the whole nation of England are in for a disappointing Euros. I do think they'll get out the group. Beyond that is notoriously where England struggle. Getting to the World Cup semi-final was an anomaly. You know, it hasn't happened in a while. Okay, they have a better squad now. But Southgate's not your man, unfortunately, and that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, completely agree. And you know, I think it's rightfully said. And also, I think when I've heard a joke about England's manager, where it's just like it's practically the job of that one job in the whole world that probably receives more attention than the president of the United States, probably. And so, it has more press coverage than the president. So
just want to say a massive shout out to Killian Kenny, man. I hope you're keeping well, brother.
Big up Killian. Yeah. But yeah, England, I think that's the team everybody's probably knows plenty more about, or has plenty more attachment, maybe even knows plenty more about than I do. But yeah, I think the big thing you might be expecting that I'll let you guys know, I think you will be seeing Gareth Southgate revert to the back three or the back five at some point, maybe even in the first game. But I think maybe one key to success for them is to play Jude Bellingham. I think Jude Bellingham, if they actually just start him and just realize that he is basically, maybe going to offer a lot more than the likes of maybe Declan Rice or Phillips or maybe Mount. I think he just offers so much at the same time. Maybe that might be the key to success. But yeah, I'm with David here. It's not going to be as easy as people think.
100%. And just Dermot Miles says 34 years ago we beat England as Big Jack got one over the old enemy. 100%, my man. My dad was actually at that game, believe it or not. So, look, he tells me about it, every time he gets a chance. And, he actually only said to me on the camping trip there the other day that, when he dies, the most thing he's going to be happy about is being there in that stadium when they bet the enemy, and he can just die and just give it the big F you, you know what I mean? And he basically said he can die happy now that he's witnessed that. Obviously everyone knows the history between Ireland and England and everything else, so you can understand it from his point of view, being the older generation and everything else. Yeah. And look, I'm all for it. I don't see why good old-fashioned rivalries have to go out of football just because it's a new era. You know what I mean? Let's keep them rivalries going. But look, I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as a lot of the English fans think it's going to be. But look, let's crack on.
Yeah, Czech Republic, with the Czech Republic, this is kind of another supposedly kind of dark horse of the tournament. A lot of somebody that people are backing. I think what makes this team special is that there is not a team of individuals. It really is an actual team. And it actually has some pretty quality players in there. And the likes of Soufal, I really rate Soufal. I think he really did have an absolutely brilliant season with West Ham. He's just a real workhorse, been like fullback, loves to get up and down, loves to get stuck in, loves a good hard tackle too, to let the player in the first, couple minutes of the game know that he means business. And then Kader Rabak, I think he's kind of like Kader Rabak. I believe he's kind of like a converted fullback to a center back for them, which I think will be interesting. But I know he's actually quite pacey, quite rapid. So maybe that might be interesting where, be harder for teams to maybe play in behind them. And the likes of Souček, obviously the star man of this team, somebody you might be seeing getting the goals from, somebody who's a real menace in the air, like maybe even one of the best, I would say the new Fellaini, if not a much better Fellaini of the Premier League. And then supposedly he's going to be partnered by this guy named Alex Kral from Spartak Moscow, who I've actually, done some research on. Supposedly he's a really big up and coming player. I have never seen him play. I would love to watch the Russian Premier League, but I'm not really able to. And supposedly, he's a big up and coming player for them. I think he's about 23, 24 years old. He's supposed to be an excellent partner for Souček, and that would be a player I think we should keep our eye on. But probably it's someone that West Ham might be keeping their eye on, considering they're now becoming the new Czech national team practically. Patrick Schick up top. Patrick Schick, he's had 12 goals in all comps. He's kind of one of these strikers, I would say, that kind of like Dolberg or someone like supposedly he's, supposed to be up and coming, highly rated, but hasn't really had one of those big seasons yet to really maybe establish himself. But you will see Mateusz Vydra maybe possibly next to him in some sort of scenario, or maybe on the wing from Burnley, which I think is funny. I do love him. He's kind of like a bit of like an Energizer Bunny kind of player. And then they did have this other guy named Pekhart, who scored 22 and 25 in the Polish league, which, it's not something necessarily to sniff at. So maybe there might be some more goals than we might think. I think this guy Janko on the wing is supposed to be delivering excellent balls, as well as Mazepust is supposed to be excellent winger, working up and down the wing, and they're supposed to be great at delivering it. This really is a team that I think will be, not really scoring the prettiest of goals, but will probably keep a lot of clean sheets or frustrate a lot of teams defensively, and might just nick a goal, in a certain moment or a certain good spell of play, and then we'll just hold up shop for the rest of the match. Last thing I'll say is Vladimir Darida from my club in Berlin, Hertha Berlin, really rate this guy. Absolute engine, this guy will cover, like, he's like Thomas Muller. He's just will run up and down the pitch. Will cover probably at least 14 kilometers at least. He's just a real menace. He loves to get up and down. And they have great goalkeeping options in the likes of Pavlenka and Vlasic for Sevilla, and Pavlenka from Bremen. I don't think they've gone into this tournament in necessarily the great run of form, but as David said, I think a team like this, I don't think that really means anything. But yeah, I'll give it to David. This is a solid team, and I do see them maybe getting at least third, if not second, in this group.
Look, one thing with this Czech Republic team, right? These have been together for a while. Not a while ago, Czech Republic kind of scrapped what they were doing, brought through a load of new prospects, a young team, and they've been playing together for a number of years now. For me, there's going to be togetherness in this cap. They have Soucek, who can get on the end of things in the box, who is also great at, breaking up, playing, winning ball. That other guy at West Ham, that fullback, Soufal, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Another good technician, another good engine in him. Patrick Schick, has goals in him. He has goals in him. And for me, look, I like the keeper options as well. And like you said, Jack, they're hard to break down, but they can also catch you on the counter. And I just don't think they're going to be easy bet as a lot of people think.
No, not easy. Not an easy team.
I really don't. The togetherness that this team has will be proven. I'll be very surprised if they get thumped in any of these group games. We just have 2 super chats to get to. A massive one from Wayne Bonner. Big up, Wayne Bonner. Absolute legend, man. I really do appreciate it. So generous. He says, I agree with David. England tend to play names rather than talent. And for those who don't know, I'm Irish. His mum is Irish, Welsh, and English from his dad's parents. What do you think of the West Brom keeper? He looks honest. Look, to be honest with you, I actually watched him against Austria. He pulled off some great saves, Wayno. So Sam Johnston pulled off some great saves, and I've actually put his name in the ring for a Tottenham keeper.
Yeah.
Because look, at the end of the day, okay, you might need keepers to play from their feet and whatever else, but that's all well and good. But you always need a shot stopper, and one thing this guy is, he's a shot stopper. Look, I know West Brom got relegated and whatever else, but some of the saves this guy pulled off, honestly, I think he'd be snapped up back in the Premier League after this summer. I really do. And for me, it wouldn't be a bad choice for Tottenham to get in for number 2 as the season under Hugo Lloris, let his contract run down and whatever else. And then, so for me, I think he'd be perfect, Wayno. I really do. Jack, do you want to have any say on Sam Johnston there quickly?
No, I think, Wayno, you're absolutely right. I think with Sam Johnston, I think he's just really good, quick reflex reactions. I've seen him have a lot of impressive, very low to the ground shots that, a lot of keepers would get beat by, and he's able to stick a leg out, stick a hand out, not very big as well. So I think that also shows you that he's got some good reactions on him. That's what I would rate the most, is his reactions are actually quite quality in plenty of moments. Yeah. And also Wayne Bonner, really such a legend. Thank you so much for enjoying the show. I love that you've been enjoying this. Really appreciate all the super chats. You've been way, way, way too kind. And we really got to know, what, maybe who your team is, who maybe you'll be enjoying some Ben and Jerry's with, watching some silky football, maybe who your player of the tournament is. I'm really interested in Wayne, and I'm so thankful that you're enjoying this as well.
No, 100%. And he's here with another super chat. The guy's incredible. He says,
legend. You're such a legend.
With Jack's stats, he should do a stream video on his starting 11 for the Euro. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Look, we will put out content. We will put out more content over the Euros. I'm just thinking there we might do, maybe over the next few days, players to look out for, or, could even do a dream team of the Euros when it's finished or whatever else. There's loads of options we can do. But Wayne, this won't be the last one, trust me, man. We'll be doing plenty more. But great idea, man. And look, why not let us know your starting 11 for the Euros, Wayne? Why not, my man? And he's here again. I take Johnston from West Brom, proper keeper. He is a proper keeper. He really is. 100%, I agree with you, Wayne. And Killian Kenny. Look, I already gave it to you. I don't know whether you heard of it. Big up, Killian Kenny. I hope you keep him well, man.
Hello, Kenny.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. But big up, Wayne Bonner. Honestly, incredible comments and great comments there, I have to say, over the 3 super chats there, and many more that he's given us today. Absolute legend. Thank you so much, Wayne. I really do appreciate them. But Jack, look, let's crack on, man. We're going a bit longer than what we thought we would, so we'll crack on here.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, completely agree with you. When Sam Johnston, I think, one of the things with keepers like that is that they could either be embarrassed all season or they can actually show out to be quite respectable. And I think he's done the latter. He's shown that he's quite respectable because he takes on so many shots that he could probably have a torrid time. But I think he really showed himself to be quality. With Scotland, Steve Clark is their manager. With Scotland here, I don't see them really getting out of the group here, but I do think they could actually cause some trouble to some teams. I do think they will at least get a draw against the English, if not grab all 3 points. That is my big prediction. I think they're going to be grabbing all 3 points or get a draw against the English. I don't see them dropping it or, seeing England take any win against them. I do see them maybe even being able to trouble the Czechs. The Czechs, they're a very strong team as well, but I think that's what makes it probably difficult for them to come up against a team like the Scottish, who will sit in, who will sit back, who do have good fullbacks who can break, who do have a bit of pace as well. Maybe that might be something that the Czechs might actually struggle against, some team that will also be kind of frustrating to break down. So might be a 0-0, I think, between the Czechs and the Scottish. But yeah, I think it will be a really interesting team. The goals will be maybe hard and few to come by. Lyndon Dykes, 14 goals in the Scottish Premiership and Championship combined. And then Shea Adams, hopefully he'll be leading the line, 9 goals in the Prem. Not my favorite striker, Shea Adams, but, for a team like Scotland, I would say, is a pretty good player to have for a team like Scotland. I think they're quite lucky to have him. Kevin Nisbet, supposedly, haven't heard of him, 14 goals in the Scottish Premiership. Seems like a pretty solid campaign. Ryan Christie, obviously, people who know about the Scotland team would know about him. Big up-and-coming player, I believe, right, David? 11 assists in the Scottish Premier League. Ryan Fraser, maybe you'll see some assists from him or maybe some type of, development of play. And maybe McGinn and Gilmore, that might be an interesting combination. But I think what the big distinction is that McTominay will likely be playing in the back 3, because in order for Tierney and Robertson to be played on the pitch at the same time, they need to do a back 3. And so that means McTominay moves into the back 3, and that also allows for McGinn and McGregor to play together. So it is kind of, accounting for a lot of the players that they have in the same positions. They have a plethora of good players in the same position, so they've had to kind of make do with kind of getting all of them on at the pitch at the same time, which is kind of interesting.
No, 100%. Look, just quickly, Wayne Bonner says, big up you both on Johnston. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Look, great, Wayne. 3 great minds think alike. We know ballers, man. We know footballers, and we know our goalkeepers. Look, on Scotland. Look, Scott McTominay, he gets stuck in. I like him. I like him. A lot of people, kind of give me his criticism at United. Okay, he's not that flair player. But look, trust me, this guy gets stuck in, and I like Scott McTominay.
Yeah,
McTominay. He's not afraid to get on the ball and go and make things happen either if he has to. I like his mentality. I really like him. Put him in beside John McGinn. Them two are going to work all day long. They have the energy to get up and back all day long, along with Robertson, along with Tierney, all day long. They have some of the best engines in this squad. You also have Christie there. You also have Ryan Fraser. On his day, he can make it happen. He's going to want to have a big tournament this season after what's happened at Newcastle. He's going to be looking for a club this summer. He has a point to prove. Shea Adams, look, you're supposed to put the ball on the player from me. We'll tuck it away. But one thing you can guarantee, he's going to work hard. He's going to work hard for the full 90 minutes. Honestly, I'm not writing Scotland out of this group yet. Honestly, I could maybe see Croatia and Scotland getting out of this group. Maybe that's
that's a big one. That's a big one, David. I love it.
Maybe wishful thinking, but I genuinely think it could happen. But honestly, like I said, even if they don't, their one is England. They're gearing up for that. They're going to want to kick 7 shades of shit out of them. They're going to want to kick them all over the turf, and they're going to go all out to win the game. And they are going to be pumped for it. They beat England. Who knows what could happen? But Scotland haven't qualified for a tournament, I think since it's either 92 or 98. Something like that. It's a long, long time. And this was the group of players to do it, along with Clark. Very, very wise manager. He's a wise manager. He's not a manager I take at Tottenham. He's not elite level. But, he does good jobs wherever he goes. And for me, I'm looking forward to see what they bring. That's all I'm going to say. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to bring. But that England game, I genuinely have a sneaky suspicion they could turn England over. I really do. And Wayne Bonner says, I want to see Mount, Grealish and Foden tear it up. No, 100%. I'd love to see Foden have a good campaign. I love Grealish. I love him. Although he fucked me over with Ireland, Wayno. I love the guy. I hope he has a good campaign. Mount, look, he's a Chelsea wanker. Couldn't give a fuck how he gets on, to be honest with you. But look, on the England group, I'm going to go with Croatia to top the group. I'm going to go England second. And I don't think a third place team will get out of this one.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a great shout. Yeah, I don't think a third place team will get out, unfortunately. And I just think they'll all be taking too many points off of each other. I think there'll be some teams taking some points off each other. It might not be a very high scoring group. I don't see anybody getting 9 points from this.
No, neither do I. I think it'll be 2 teams qualifying on 6 points getting out of this. But look, we'll crack on to the next group.
Let's crack through Group B. We'll probably I'm going to move a little bit soon, or a little quicker through Group B. I do have Spain topping the group. I am a little concerned about their squad, but I'll get into it. Poland at second, third Sweden, fourth Slovakia. The Poland-Sweden one is a very difficult one to make, just considering that, with either squad, they both have their deficiencies and their weaknesses. So it will be interesting. With Spain, very different Spanish team to that of years past. These are a lot of different players. Obviously, you'll recognize a lot of these players, but not really the Spanish teams that we're usually familiar with. One of the big things I will say is they have a huge COVID outbreak in the Spain camp at the moment. I believe Sergio Busquets and another player on their team has had COVID. And in fact, they've even had like a preliminary squad that's like what they call a parallel squad that's been training supposedly parallel to them in case too many players in the original squad contract COVID. So really, that could be a little bit of thing. They might be a little distracted. Another scenario is I believe I did some research. They're in fact all getting their vaccinations right before the tournament, like right before their games. So they might even be experiencing I can speak for it. And they'll be experiencing some symptoms from the COVID vaccinations that might actually even hurt some of their play. It's really interesting. I don't know what to make of all of that, but it is worth mentioning. I think what's really a big loss for them is the left back position. Their 2 choices are Jordi Alba and Jose Gaya. To be honest, Jose Gaya, I mean, he's quality. I rate him. But with Jordi Alba, to be honest, I think he's honestly past it. I think he's still great going forward, but defensively, he's actually been one of the worst players in Europe's top 5 leagues this season defensively. And so also they're leaving out the likes of Angelino, who I just think has had an incredible season at Leipzig. That guy's an absolute baller, Angelino, and I think it's a crime to leave him out, an absolute crime. They also left out Grimaldo, who I believe had a great season in Benfica as well. So yeah, I think they could have
There's a player here. Sorry, just to interrupt you. There's a player here, I think, for Denmark. He's after collapsing on the pitch. It's very concerning here.
Oh no.
Yeah, but sorry, crack on. I just thought I'd update people.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. No. So yeah, I mean with strong, they have a strong midfield. Marco Llorente, right, from Atletico.
I think he's dead, Jack.
The Danish player?
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm not watching it. I turned it off. I stopped sharing my screen.
So he's just collapsed, and it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. I think he's dead. He just collapsed, and all the Denmark players are standing around him.
Holy crap!
They're
I'm watching
looking very
it right
upset.
now.
They're all standing around him so that no cameras can see what's going on. But honestly, I think
they're doing their performance CPR. Their performance CPR.
It's not looking good. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, David, it's horrible. Did you see how it happened?
We'll crack on with the show and see what happens. It's very sad. Wayne Bonner says, well said, David, about Mount. I appreciate that, my man. And he says Poland and Spain not ruling out Sweden. Yeah, look, I'm not ruling out Sweden either. I think they'll kick Poland to the post. But sorry about that, Jack. Look, we'll crack on. I'm just going to keep an eye on this, see what the story is. But crack on there, Jack, and we'll keep on with the show.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it turns out all right. But really, all thoughts and prayers. My thoughts and prayers out to the Danish national team, and the players, everyone, people that are there, family and friends. That's horrible, absolutely horrible. And hopefully it's not what we think it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With the Spanish team, there's some worries here. That's all I'll say, is that there's some worries. I don't think they have as strong of a team as years past. They have a brilliant midfield options.
It's
But
Eriksen. Is that what they're saying?
is it Christian Eriksen?
Yeah, it's Christian Eriksen. Oh, no. Oh, lads. He just keeled over. Fuck. Yeah, look, Jack, sorry, we'll crack away. Sorry, man.
No, it's all right, David. Yeah.
Refs talking to the managers, yeah, it could be called off. I think it should be called off. No, it's heart compressions. Book, please, no. Very, very sad news here about Christian Eriksen. Honestly, I'm going to pray for him. I hope, being a Spurs player and everything else, I hope he's okay. But honestly, it's not looking good here. It really isn't looking good here.
It's very scary looking.
Yeah, look, we'll crack on with the show. We'll get it finished.
Sure.
Sorry, Jack, go on. Take it away.
No problem. Yeah, look, I mean, Spain, quarterfinals is my prediction. I think they will be able to make it out of the group. I think they'll be fine. I think what I actually see them taking out of this is Luis Enrique. I do actually rate as a coach. I do rate him as a coach. And so I do think he will make the best of the team at his disposal and at least get them to the quarterfinals. Very young center back pairing is here as well, which will be very interesting. Pau Torres and Laporte. But moving on to Poland. With Poland, look, they have a very aging defense. This is where I think they will struggle. Kamil Glik from Monaco from years past. I do rate him as a defender, but he's very old. Bednarek, I think, had a great season. Bednarek did have a great season for Southampton. Fabianski, great keeper, great shot stopper, especially for club and country. Krakowiak, also a great player for his country, great holding midfielder. The big thing is Piotr Zielinski. Piotr Zielinski, he is the one that will be the determinant of how well they do. 10 goals, 10 assists, Serie A. He's had 3.92 shot creating actions per 90, which is pretty much well above most players at Spurs. When you think about it, 0.82 goal creating actions per 90, which is actually, I believe, 95th percentile in the Serie A. He also has about 0.46 nutmegs per game per 90. So that just shows this guy loves to embarrass people. I believe that's also very high in the rankings. But yeah, Poland's success, it's entirely dependent on how well their defense does, how rigid it is, and whether Zielinski and Lewandowski get a lot of chances to connect. Lewandowski is coming off of 46 goals in all competitions, fresh off of breaking the unbeatable record of Gerd Müller, which was 40 goals in a season, in just a Bundesliga season. Yeah. And he did break that, and it was insane. I mean, still gives me chills, still gives me goosebumps just thinking about him breaking that record. But he had an early UEFA Champions League exit as well, which you can take into account, which means he's obviously had a bit of time maybe to recover. He might be having a bit more spark and bounce about him going forward and maybe into this tournament. If Lewandowski and Zielinski, that's all I'll say. Lewandowski and Zielinski, if they get a lot of chances, if they're given lots of the ball to connect with each other, that is very, very, very dangerous. Two very deadly players, and two players that are far better and far above most of Sweden's players. So that's where I actually would rate Poland above Sweden, is just because if you look at if you take two individuals from Sweden and two individuals from Poland, it doesn't compare at all. You know, the two best players in Poland are, steps and steps and steps above the two best players from Sweden. So that's all I'll say on it. With Sweden, update.
I think he's dead, Jack.
Should we? I feel like we gotta.
Yeah, I think we're gonna end there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
We'll go over these groups too. These two groups tomorrow, Jack. If that's okay with you. Sorry about this, man. I just.
No, David. Yeah, I need to look at this. We need to talk about this and look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, Wayne Bonner says, forget the stream at the minute, focus on this. Sorry, no offense, man, Jack and Dave. No, 100%. Look, to be honest, I don't even feel comfortable about talking about it right now on streaming that. So look, we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for people tuning in. Yeah. Thank you to the Harris Army. Thank you to everybody on the super chats. But look, we're going to end it here. I'll see you all. See you all tomorrow, 8 o'clock on We Are Tottenham TV. That's even if that game goes ahead now. I'm not too sure. But look, my thoughts and prayers go out to Christian Eriksen, his family, and his friends, the whole Danish team. And look, I'll see you all again soon.